Chapter 1526. He even dared to kill young Master Dongyang Lai. Xiao Zun is too arrogant. How can the Dongyang clan let this go? Just watch, the silent great planet is going to be lively. Even a powerful dragon can't suppress a local snake. Besides, this new Xiao Zun isn't a powerful dragon. How can he fight against the Dongyang clan? Xiao Zun is really stupid. He could have just taught Dongyang Lai a lesson, but he killed him. If the Dongyang clan comes for revenge, even the sovereign will have a hard time protecting him. Every mountain and immortal city on the silent great planet was talking about this. Su Fang's voice rang out again. If anyone dares to look down on the sovereign again and trespass on the main peak, they will be killed without mercy. The cold, murderous intent carried the supreme aura of a ruler. It was like the voice of the heavenly Tao, which made the silent great planet fall silent for a while. Dongyang Peak. This person isn't stupid. He knows how to take advantage of others. If the Dongyang clan goes to the main peak and denounces him, it'll be disrespectful to the sovereign. It'll be hard for the sovereign to get away with it. A red-haired old man looked at the main peak from the sky. His eyes were burning with the flames of hatred. This person was the head of the Dongyang clan. He had a violent and terrifying aura. He was an immortal sovereign. Since you're using the sovereign's name, I'll take it off first so that you can't take advantage of others. You killed a prodigy of the Dongyang clan. I'll tear you to pieces and burn your bones to ashes. As the red-haired elder talked to himself, he suddenly exploded with the power of fire. Terrifying flames swept out and burned the surrounding space until it collapsed layer by layer. The main peak of the silent great planet. Su Fang landed on the ground, and Zi Satin came up to him. Xiao Zun, that Dongyang Lai is really hateful, but he's still a prodigy of the Dongyang clan. Xiao Zun, you killed him and more than a dozen strong cultivators of the Dongyang clan. How can the Dongyang clan not take revenge? Xiao Zun is powerful, but he can't beat the Dongyang clan. Why don't you open the barrier on the main peak and wait for the sovereign to come back? Zi Satin knew how powerful the Dongyang clan was on the silent great planet. She was very worried for Su Fang. Hiding on the main peak like a cowardly tortoise? There's no need for that. If the Dongyang clan is crazy enough to attack the main peak, what awaits them will be the extermination of their clan. Su Fang smiled faintly without a care. Among the 81 Tao arenas in the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect, mid-stage Immortal Venerables like Immortal Venerables Ji Hong and Immortal Venerables Qi Sword could become the sovereign of a Tao arena. No matter how powerful the Dongyang clan was, it was impossible for the clan to have an expert more powerful than Ji Hong Immortal Sovereign and Qi Sword Immortal Sovereign. At most, it would be an ordinary Immortal Sovereign. At this moment, Su Fang already possessed the absolute strength to kill a mid-stage Immortal Venerable. As long as his opponent wasn't a peak Immortal Venerable, he wouldn't be afraid. Also, Su Fang was Xiao Zun. Why would he be afraid of the Dongyang family's revenge? Su Fang looked at Tu Yu and asked, Tu Yu, how are your injuries? Tu Yu said hatefully, I won't die for now. Dongyang clan, Tu Yu, will pay you back tenfold. The injuries on his body were secondary. The key was the flaming slave mark on his face, which made him feel humiliated like never before. Moreover, the slave mark was very domineering. It was a combination of a fire elemental divine ability and a primordial spirit restriction art. Even if the entire face was destroyed, the slave mark wouldn't be erased. Unless a peerless expert from the Dongyang clan personally acted, it would be very difficult for an outsider to remove the slave mark. A mere slave mark won't be a problem for me, Su Fang. Su Fang formed a seal and shot out a green immortal light that enveloped Tu Yu. The dragon subduing true body's amazing recovery ability quickly healed half of his injuries. Then, Su Fang activated the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique, releasing an ethereal Dao Qi and a surge of Yang Qi that merged into a Qi that swept across Tu Yu's face. The Heaven's secret life shrinking technique could break a primordial spirit restriction art. Combined with the Yang Qi, it easily removed the slave mark on Tuoyu's face. This scene. Once again, the White Immortal and the other cultivators of the World Palace were deeply shocked. For a moment, Su Fang seemed incomparably unfathomable in their eyes. 3 months later, Su Fang's killing of Dongyang Lai didn't cause any uproar as people had expected. The Dongyang clan didn't take any revenge. However, Su Fang knew that once the Dongyang clan made a move, it would be a sure-win attack. On this day, Huoliang climbed to the main peak and asked for an audience. "Xiao Zun, there's news about the matter you instructed me to do a few days ago." Huoliang appeared more respectful in front of Su Fang. This was the effect of killing Dongyang Lai. "There's news about the blood jade?" Su Fang's spirit was lifted, and his heart was filled with anticipation. The blood jade was his main purpose in coming to the Tianming Haotsang sect. Even Law in the blood-colored cage looked nervous. "Yes," Huoliang said tirelessly. "In the Xianlin Star Dao sect, that blood-colored jade isn't a secret, so it's not difficult to inquire about it. According to the cultivators of the Xianlin Star Dao sect, the blood jade is a mysterious treasure obtained by a disciple with extraordinary strength who accidentally entered an endless abyss at the edge of the great world. Later on, the blood jade fell into the hands of Venerable Xianlin. He pondered over it for a long time and used all kinds of divine abilities and forbidden techniques, but it was still difficult for his essence soul to enter the blood jade. It was even more difficult for him to fuse with it. Venerable Xianlin speculated that the blood jade is a rare treasure from the myriad worlds in the universe. Very few people in the great world can fuse with it, but once one fuses with it, one will be able to understand the secrets within. There might be a divine-level cultivation technique or divine ability inside, or perhaps the blood jade itself is a peerless divine artifact. Venerable Xianlin couldn't fuse with the blood jade. In the end, he offered it to the sect and used it as one of the rewards for this competition. Su Fang wasn't surprised. He asked, "Are you sure that Venerable Xianlin offered the blood jade to the Destiny Bright Heavenly sect, and the sect took it out as a reward for the Tao Disciple competition?" Huoliang said with certainty, "This matter is absolutely true. The sect has already announced all the rewards for the Tao Disciple competition. The blood jade is also one of them." "This is a little troublesome now." Su Fang's brows furrowed. If the blood jade was still in Venerable Xuanlin's hands, he could just think of a way to kill him and snatch the blood jade away. He didn't expect that Venerable Xianlin would actually offer the blood jade to the sect. No matter how confident Su Fang was in his own strength, he wasn't confident enough to go deep into the Destiny Bright Heavenly sect and snatch the blood jade away. The Destiny Bright Heavenly sect was incomparably powerful. It was unknown how many peerless powerhouses were hidden in the sect. There was even a demigod supreme powerhouse who had 1 foot in the deity realm. Whether it was through trickery or forceful means, it was impossible to obtain the blood jade from a sect that was filled with powerhouses. Su Fang then asked Huoliang in detail about the rules of the Tao Disciple competition, especially the distribution of the rewards. After some understanding, Su Fang's deep eyes flashed with determination. "The only way is to participate in the Tao Disciple competition and win first place in one fell swoop. This way I can choose any of the rewards. Only then can I ensure that the blood jade will fall into my hand." Su Fang made a decision. He had to participate in the Tao Disciple competition and win first place. "Xiao Zun, you asked me to inquire about the whereabouts of that female cultivator named Huang Lingyao." Huang Lingyao? Having just received the news of the blood jade, Su Fang almost forgot about Huang Lingyao. The grudge between him and Huang Lingyao had lasted from the immortal sealing sect in the small world until now. Since he had come to the Destiny Bright Heavenly sect this time, he might as well resolve the grudge between the two of them. Huang Lingyao was brought back to the destiny-bright heavenly sect by Heavenly Lord Xian Shu and entered planet Xianlin. At first, she was just an ordinary disciple. This woman is also very extraordinary. She has a Tao body, and has even fused with one of the 10 great Tao artifacts, the Yunshao Thunder Sword. She quickly stood out in planet Xianlin. In a competition held in planet Xianlin 100 years ago, Huang Lingyao displayed her peerless prowess and entered the top 10 in the competition in one fell swoop. She became a special disciple and even received the attention of immortal Exalt Xianlin. Su Fang couldn't help but admire Huang Lingyao. Huang Lingyao is indeed not an ordinary person. She can even shine so brilliantly in the destiny-bright heavenly sect. Zhang Ruiyun became a disciple of immortal Venerable Enai Xia. Sooner or later, she will rise up in the great world and become a peerless figure. The only one whose whereabouts are unknown is Prince Shui. I wonder where he went after coming to the great world. Su Fang asked, how did young Lord Long, who followed Huang Lingyao to the destiny-bright heavenly sect, perform? Young Lord Long? This person's performance is not bad, but compared to Huang Lingyao, he is considered unknown. Young Lord Long was considered a peerless genius in the heavenly Tao immortal world and was ranked among the 10 great young masters. However, in the destiny-bright heavenly sect, he was indeed considered ordinary. In the end, it was already very impressive for him to be able to reach the height of immortal Emperor Tian. Ong Huoliang continued. After the Xianlin Taoist sect's competition, the disciples were organized to go to a dangerous place at the edge of the celestial realm to train. In the end, Huang Lingyao didn't return. She most likely died in the dangerous place. Huang Lingyao went missing? Su Fang was stunned. He was very surprised. That's right. Huang Lingyao suddenly disappeared during the training. That young Lord Long also disappeared with her. The leader of the Xianlin Taoist sect's training concluded that Huang Lingyao had already died. After all, there are too many unknown dangers in the dangerous places of the great world. As for young Lord Long, no one cared about him at all. It was only when they were tracking down Huang Lingyao's whereabouts that they found out that he had also gone missing. Su Fang shook his head and said, Huang Lingyao was able to fuse with Yunxiao's Thunder Sword and has great luck. Moreover, this woman is full of wit and ruthless. She definitely won't die just like that. Forget it, just ignore her. As long as she is still in the great world, there will be a time when we will meet again. Manager Hua, thank you for your hard work this time. These yin-yang immortal sky pills are your reward. Su Fang took out 1,000 peak supreme grade yin-yang immortal sky pills, which made Huoliang very happy. He excitedly left the main peak. Taoist competition. Su Fang's eyes flashed with a hale and hearty luster. Luo Liang spoke in the blood jade. Let the destiny-bright heavenly sect's Taoist competition this time become the platform for you to rise in the great world. It's also time for you to shine. =R download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 1527. Su Fang began to prepare for the Tao Disciple Tournament with all his might. After some investigation, Su Fang finally understood that the Tao Disciple Tournament held by the Tianming Haotsong sect was not so simple. The so-called Tao Disciple was the candidate to become the next sect master of the Tianming Haotsong sect. The Tianming Haotsong sect led the immortal Tao, so how noble and important was the Tao Disciple's status? In the past, the Tianming Haotsong sect had nurtured a Tao disciple for tens of millions of years. They had to go through all kinds of tests before finally choosing a sect master from the Tao disciples. The Tianming Haotsong sect had never held a Tao disciple tournament with such great fanfare to choose a Tao disciple from the Tao disciple tournament. It turned out that the Tianming Haotsong sect was preparing for the all-out war between immortals and demons that was about to erupt in this Tao disciple tournament. The world had changed, and the immortal Tao in the great world was facing destruction. The Tianming Haotsong sect would not be able to escape this calamity. Not only were the experts in the sect affected, but even the sect itself could fall at any time. Therefore, the Tao Disciple Tournament was held to choose the next sect master. Once the war between immortals and demons broke out, the Tianming Haotsong sect's higher-ups and even the sect itself would fall. Even the Tianming Haotsong sect has prepared for the worst. Can you imagine how dire the situation in the great world is? Su Fang's heart grew heavier. He had witnessed the small world being swept away by the calamity with his own eyes. Before long, the great world would follow in the footsteps of the small world and become the world of demons and resurrected experts. The square heaven great world would not be able to escape this calamity. Power. I need to quickly increase my power to protect myself in the calamity and protect my family and friends in the square heaven great world. Su Fang cast aside all distracting thoughts and focused on increasing the power of himself and the experts under him. However, Su Fang's cultivation plan was quickly interrupted. The Punisher Hall of the Solitary Great Planet, as well as the Dongyang clan, the Duan clan, the Wang clan, and the Ji clan greet the Shao Zun. Please allow us to enter the main peak. A respectful and cold voice came from the bottom of the main peak. The Dongyang clan's revenge is finally here. Su Fang smiled coldly and walked out of the cave abode. Permission granted. As soon as Su Fang finished speaking, hundreds of elites from the solitary Great Star immediately ascended the main peak. Greetings to Shao Zun. The leader of the group was a black-robed old man. His face was cold and solemn. He cupped his fists and bowed to Su Fang. The hundreds of cultivators behind him also bowed to Su Fang. They seemed to be very respectful to Su Fang's identity as the young master. What is it? Su Fang spoke softly, but he was laughing coldly in his heart. If he couldn't even see through this kind of trick of using peaceful means before resorting to force, then he wasn't worthy of being the master of an immortal region. The law was the fundamental guarantee to maintain the operation of a force. Any sect, family, or force would have an organization in charge of punishment. The Silent Great Star was naturally no exception. It had a punishment hall. The punishment hall was only responsible for the leaders of the sects or clans. It was very powerful. The Dongyang clan had actually managed to get the punishment hall and the other 7 clans on the Silent Great Star. It was obvious how powerful they were on the Silent Great Star. The black-robed old man from the punishment hall said majestically, "We have come to see Shao Zun this time to investigate the matter of Dongyang Lai and 13 other members of the Dongyang clan being killed on the main peak." The corner of Su Fang's lips curled up into a smile. "There's no need to investigate anything. I killed them all." The black-robed old man raised his eyebrows and said in a deep voice, "May I ask why you killed them, Shao Zun?" Dongyang Lai barged into the main peak and looked down on the sovereign. "Is that reason enough? Besides, as the young master, do I need a reason to be on the Silent Great Star?" Although Su Fang's voice was calm, there was a towering and domineering aura that arose spontaneously. The sovereign wasn't here, so the young master was the ruler of the Silent Great Star. He had the power to decide life and death. He could kill whoever he wanted. Why did he need a reason? Besides, it was Dongyang Lai who provoked him first and wanted to kill Su Fang. How could Su Fang, the young master, not be able to kill him? The patriarchs of the Dongyang clan, as well as the patriarchs and powerful cultivators of the other 7 clans, all moved. Murderous gazes focused on Su Fang. The black-robed old man from the punishment hall shouted coldly, "Shao Zun, you're so domineering. How can the entire Silent Great Star be convinced? I have my master to teach me how to do things. I don't need others to point fingers at me, and I don't need others to be convinced. The matter has been investigated clearly. You can leave now," Su Fang said domineeringly and then directly ordered them to leave. The black-robed old man said coldly, "Shao Zun, you have openly violated the laws of the Silent Great Star. Princes who break the law are punished the same as commoners. I am in charge of the punishment hall on the silent great star and enforce the law impartially. Naturally, I can't sit by and do nothing. Shao Zun, please come with me to the punishment hall. Su Fang sneered. Enforce the law impartially. You're acting as the Dongyang clan's dog. Is this what you call enforcing the law impartially? This is the main peak of the silent great star, where Lord Sovereign cultivates and lives. I'm the Shao Zun of the silent great star. Who dares to be rude to me? Could it be that you want to rebel? The black-robed old man shouted angrily. Lord Sovereign isn't here right now, and Shao Zun, you're acting without morals. The 13 clans of the silent great star have decided to remove you from your position as the Shao Zun. Come with me to the punishment hall and wait for Lord Sovereign to punish you. Otherwise, I'll kill you right away. You've finally taken off your mask and revealed your fangs. Su Fang sneered in disdain. His eyes flashed with coldness as he glanced over everyone. He said domineeringly, "Do you think you're qualified to challenge me?" How arrogant! The black-robed old man reached out to grab Su Fang. A bone-chilling power enveloped Su Fang, forming a shocking shackle like a cage. This black-robed old man, who was in charge of the punishment hall, was also a celestial prime with special abilities. Scram! With a thunderous roar, the power of the divine dragon exploded from Su Fang's body, shattering the shackles around him layer by layer. The divine dragon was the most mysterious and powerful existence in the great world. The power of the divine dragon was domineering and full of deterrence, instantly suppressing the black-robed old man's aura. Su Fang took a step forward. His right arm transformed into the form of a divine dragon as he threw out a devastating punch. Boom! The black-robed old man was forced back a dozen steps, and his aura was almost shattered. The ferocious shockwave produced by Su Fang's punch caused the experts to be knocked backward. Didn't you come to the main peak to steal my position as the Shao Zun? Then I'll let you know if I, Su Fang, am qualified to be the Shao Zun of the silent great star. Are you going to come at me together or one by one? Su Fang displayed the domineering aura of the Lord of the Deity region. A supreme aura that looked down on the sky shook the world. Since the Shao Zun is so stubborn, then I'll represent the punishment hall and punish you. The black-robed old man's right arm shook, and black Xian Guang shot out. It quickly formed a huge black prison that fell toward Su Fang. Break! Su Fang spread his hands, and tens of thousands of low-grade flying swords flowed out of his palms like water, forming a river of swords around him. He pointed 2 fingers in the air, and the river of swords surged upward. The monstrous sword chi instantly shattered the black prison formed by the black-robed old man's divine ability. You're a manager of the punishment hall, but you're willing to be the Dongyang clan's dog. What's the point of keeping you? Su Fang's killing intent flashed, and the river of swords swept toward the black-robed old man. Boom! 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 The black-robed old man formed a seal and shot out black chains, shattering the flying swords. The river of swords also instantly collapsed. You want to fight me with a pile of scrap metal? The black-robed old man sneered disdainfully. The next moment, 100,000 flying swords appeared around Su Fang, forming a vast sea of swords. The sharp sword chi rose to the sky, and the entire main peak was enveloped by sword intent. The divine light in the black-robed old man's eyes instantly changed to N_1. Boom! The sea of swords surged out and swallowed the black-robed old man, instantly tearing his defense and turning his body into a bloody pulp. The Dongyang clan leader and the overlords of the 7 families all gasped. How terrifying was it to control 100,000 flying swords and instantly kill an immortal supremacy. If you leave the main peak now, I won't care about anything. If you still have any wishful thinking, not only you, but all your families will be uprooted from the solitary great planet, Su Fang said with a murderous aura. The young master is heartless. He killed the Punishment Hall's steward. The 13 families of the solitary great planet will kill him together. The Dongyang clan leader let out a thunderous roar. He waved his arm and sent out a Dharma seal. 100-foot-wide fireball, like the sun in the sky, rolled and roared. It carried a terrifying aura that could burn everything and attacked Su Fang. The overlords of the Dongyang clan also released their divine powers and Tao artifact. The other overlords of the 7 families hesitated for a while, and then they also attacked. Among the 100 over-cultivators, there were 5 immortal supremacies. The rest were immortal emperors above the 7 paths of the Saint Immortal Realm. There were more than 20 immortal emperors who were at the peak of the 9 paths of the Saint Immortal Realm. With so many experts attacking at the same time, even an expert like the solitary Great Celestial Supremacy would have to retreat. The sea of swords formed by Su Fang's 100,000 flying swords instantly shattered. The moment the tidal wave of attacks engulfed him, he activated his sword pill and traveled through the void, instantly arriving among the overlords of the Dongyang clan. The attacks of the experts missed, and the main peak shook for a while. The entire solitary great planet shook, as if there was a huge earthquake. Chi, 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 chi. The sword pill shot out streaks of silver sword chi, and 3 overlords of the Dongyang clan were pierced by the silver sword chi. They died instantly. Brat, how dare you kill my Dongyang clan members? The Dongyang clan leader's eyes were burning with anger. He turned around and charged toward Su Fang. Swoosh, swoosh. Su Fang used Sword Pill's ability to instantly traverse through the void to kill his way through the crowd. Another dozen or so experts were killed by the silver threads of sword chi. The rest of you stand back. Overlords, form a formation together. Don't give him any chance to attack. A group of experts whose cultivation bases were far higher than Su Fang's, including 5 immortal supremacies, could not do anything to a 7 paths of the Saint Immortal Realm cultivator. Everyone was furious. In the end, under Dongyang Lai's command, the 5 immortal supremacies formed seals to form a large formation that shackled the space. Under such powerful shackles, Su Fang's sword pill's ability was suppressed, and it was difficult for him to travel through the void. Su Fang, I'll use your head as a sacrifice to the soul of the prodigy of the Dongyang clan. The Dongyang clan leader laughed ferociously as if he was the master of Su Fang's life. =_our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1528. Above the silent grandeur planet. There seemed to be pairs of eyes, spying on the silent grandeur planet from the void. The voices of the Yuan spirits were communicating silently. The young master of the silent grandeur planet is indeed extraordinary. I heard that he was born with the talent to control Dharma treasures. He can control 100,000 flying swords at the same time. What's the use of controlling 100,000 flying swords at the same time when he's facing a true peerless expert? This kid doesn't know how to be patient. He's arrogant and overbearing. He's already a mortal enemy of the Dongyang clan before he even gained a foothold in the silent grandeur planet. Today, he even killed the disciplinary hall's manager. He's lost his righteousness and won't be able to escape the fate of being suppressed by the Dongyang clan. I heard that this kid reached the top of the heavenly platform during the World Palace's Heavenly Ascension Conference. He has the potential to become a peak expert of the great world. I thought he had a chance to become the Taoist of the Tianming Hao Tsang sect. I didn't expect him to be so disappointing. This kid will definitely die. He's not worthy of our attention. Su Fang's performance during the World Palace's Heavenly Ascension Conference had already alerted the peerless figures of the Tianming Hao Tsang sect. The higher-ups paid attention to him and secretly observed him as a candidate for the Taoist position. However, they were all disappointed when they saw Su Fang's performance. On the main peak, 5 celestial supremacies teaming up against a 7-path Saint Immortal. How shameless is the cultivator of the silent grandeur planet. Feng Ling strode out and unleashed the might of the Earth Tao. He unleashed an earth-shattering aura and charged toward the celestial supremacies of the Dongyang clan and the other clans. Then, Tua Yu ignited the bloodline of the ancient giant barbarian tribe and transformed into a giant. Help Su Feng. White celestial supremacy of the World Palace ordered the geniuses of the World Palace after some hesitation. Then, he brought Ling Yu, the bald cultivator, and the others over. The World Palace was already tied to Su Feng. If Su Feng was killed by the Dongyang clan, the World Palace would face destruction. They could only help Su Feng get through this crisis and wait for the return of the immortal Jihong celestial supremacy. Naturally, they wouldn't be afraid of the Dongyang clan's revenge. In fact, they didn't know that Su Feng wouldn't be threatened by the 5 immortal venerables. If it wasn't for the upcoming Dao disciple competition and he didn't want to expose his strength too early, it would be easy for him to kill the 5 celestial primes. A bunch of useless people want to kill Su Feng. Li Haojie, the Lord of 5 Poisons, the Great Monk, Bai Ling, the Vermilion Emperor, the Tongtian Demon Venerable, and other powerful big goblin experts all charged towards the Dongyang clan and the 8 great clans of the Silent Great Star. Boom! A surge of reincarnation divine might rose from Su Feng's body and swept out in all directions. The shackles created by the 5 celestial primes were shattered with a loud bang. It turned out that Su Feng had activated the underworld reincarnation sword. A terrifying reincarnation aura burst out from the 3-foot-long blade and circled around Su Feng, forming a reincarnation world. With the improvement of Su Feng's cultivation and the completion of the Purple Qi Dharma Spirit, Su Feng's ability to control Dao artifacts had reached an amazing level. At this moment, Su Feng was fully activating the Underworld Reincarnation Sword and could activate more than 90% of the power of this peerless Dao artifact, almost reaching the level of the Underworld Emperor. However, Su Feng didn't want to expose too much of his strength, so he only activated 60% to 70% of the power of the Underworld Reincarnation Sword. What kind of Dao artifact is that? How could it release such an amazing reincarnation sword essence? This sword is definitely not a peak supreme Dao artifact. It's a Dharma treasure as powerful as the 10 great Dao artifacts. This reincarnation sword essence isn't the sovereign's reincarnation of 4 seasons superpower. The Dongyang clan leader and the other 4 celestial primes were shocked. Then, their eyes lit up with greed. Whoever can kill Su Feng will get this peerless Dharma treasure. The Dongyang clan leader was a cunning old man. Seeing the greed in the others, he immediately tempted them. Kill him! The eyes of the 4 celestial primes from the other clans were glowing red. They used their strongest superpower to crush Su Feng. Do you think I, Su Feng, am a weakling? You're digging your own grave. Reincarnation sword, reincarnation of 4 seasons seal. Fierce killing intent flashed in Su Feng's eyes. He struck out Dharma seals one after another, releasing the true meaning of the reincarnation of 4 seasons great Dao, which merged with the underworld reincarnation sword essence. After these days of comprehension and cultivation, Su Feng had mastered a small part of the reincarnation of 4 seasons seal. Although it was far from being profound, he could release some of the divine power of the reincarnation of 4 seasons seal. The divine power of the reincarnation of 4 seasons and the underworld reincarnation sword essence both belonged to the reincarnation great Dao. The two could easily merge and complement each other to release amazing power. Qi. The ethereal divine power of reincarnation swept out and formed a domain around Su Feng. The 4 celestial primes broke into the reincarnation domain, but their qi was repelled by the reincarnation sword essence. Not only that, but the divine power of the reincarnation of 4 seasons was also integrated into the sword essence, which made them feel the changes of the 4 seasons and the evolution of time. Their superpower, genuine qi, and even the power of life were all flowing away quickly. In a short moment, it was as if tens of thousands of years had passed. The reincarnation of 4 seasons seal combined with the underworld reincarnation technique was so powerful. The divine power of the reincarnation of 4 seasons, great Tao of the Sovereign. How long has it been since he was taken in by the Sovereign? How did he master the reincarnation of 4 seasons, great Tao, to such an extent? The 4 celestial primes were greatly shocked. The Dongyang clan leader's eyes were also filled with disbelief. One of the celestial primes was caught by the sword essence. The sharp and domineering sword essence cut him in half. Yang Xian's vital spirit was also shredded into nothingness by the sword essence. The other 3 celestial primes were scared out of their wit. Only then did they realize that Shao Zun, who they thought was a weak chicken, was not a weak chicken. He was clearly a ferocious beast with ferocious fangs and sharp claws. The 3 of them immediately retreated, trying to leave the area covered by Su Fang's divine power of reincarnation. However, the divine power of reincarnation circulated endlessly. Once they were caught in it, it was not easy to escape. Boom, boom, boom. Su Fangda stepped forward and activated the formless golden body. His fist was like a powerful Tao artifact as he punched the 3 celestial primes consecutively. Puff! A slightly weaker celestial primes, the clan leader of the 13 great clans of the solitary great planet, was severely injured by Su Fang's punch. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was severely injured. Su Fang used the world of yin and yang to shackle his golden core before throwing him to the monk. The other 2 celestial primes were sent flying. Their auras were instantly weakened, and they were also severely injured. He's only at the 7 paths of Saint Immortal Realm, yet he was able to resist the joint attack of 5 celestial primes. One of them was killed, and the other was captured alive. No wonder the Sovereign took such a peerless genius as his disciple. Once this person grows up, the Dongyang clan will no longer have a foothold on the solitary great planet. The Dongyang clan leader was terrified, and his eyes flashed with viciousness. Now that things had developed to this stage, it was either he or Su Fang would live. The Dongyang clan leader no longer had any scruples. Su Fang is cruel and heartless. He killed the disciplinary hall steward and slaughtered the experts of the 13 great clans. He doesn't deserve to be the young master of the solitary great planet. Any cultivator on the solitary great planet can kill him. The Dongyang clan leader's thunderous roar was filled with murderous intent, and it spread across the solitary great planet. Whoosh! A black army of cultivators rose from the main peak. These cultivators were all elites of the Dongyang clan. Each of them was at the heavenly immortal realm, and there were about 30,000 of them. It was obvious that the Dongyang clan was prepared, and they had placed 30,000 of their elites around the main peak. However, it wasn't to kill Su Fang, but to prevent Su Fang from escaping. But now that Su Fang had displayed such shocking strength, the Dongyang clan leader had no choice but to send all the elites of the clan. Killing Su Fang equals N_R exclamation point. The 30,000 cultivators of the Dongyang clan formed a strange array and formed hand seals at the same time. Suddenly, the 30,000 cultivators' auras and auras were like one person, and they combined to activate a shocking power. Grand Fusion Divine Art? Su Fang recognized the heaven-piercing divine art that the Dongyang clan cultivators had used, and he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. The Grand Fusion Divine Art was an ancient technique that could gather everyone's power to attack. It was extremely powerful. The 5 freaks of the Ghost Tao had cultivated the Grand Fusion Divine Art, and Su Fang was naturally familiar with it. The Dongyang clan was the most powerful clan on the solitary great planet, so it wasn't strange for them to have mastered the Grand Fusion Divine Art. However, the fact that the 30,000 cultivators of the Dongyang clan had used the Grand Fusion Divine Art at the same time shocked Su Fang. Obviously, the Dongyang clan had carefully trained these cultivators from the beginning of their cultivation. They had cultivated the Grand Fusion Divine Art at the same time, which was why they could cultivate the Grand Fusion Divine Art to the point where 30,000 cultivators could use it at the same time. In the eyes of Saint Celestial Realm cultivators, Feather Celestial Realm cultivators were just a bunch of ants. However, the 30,000 Feather Celestial Realm cultivators of the Dongyang clan had used the Grand Fusion Divine Art, which could even crush celestial primes. Su Fang, even if your strength is heaven-defying, you can't escape the fate of being crushed today. Prepare to die. The Dongyang clan leader formed a hand seal at the same time, and all the power and auras of the 30,000 cultivators of the Dongyang clan were added to his body. As a result, the Dongyang clan leader's strength suddenly skyrocketed to the limit that ordinary celestial primes could reach. His aura was like an avalanche as it surged violently towards Su Fang. You have the Grand Fusion Divine Art, but I have the Natal Divine Art. Do you think I'm afraid of you? The corners of Su Fang's mouth curled up into a disdainful smile. The Grand Fusion Divine Art was an attack that condensed the power of many people. Su Fang could also use the Natal Dharma Treasure, the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda, to add the power and true qi of the experts and the Big Goblin to his body. The Grand Fusion Divine Art that the Dongyang clan leader regarded as a trump card was not worth mentioning in Su Fang's eyes. Natal Divine Art in a flash, the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda combined the Dharma power and true qi of the 30,000 experts and the Big Goblin into Su Fang's body. Boom! Under the Natal Divine Art, Su Fang's aura burst out as if he had become the supreme ruler of this world. The aura of the Dongyang clan leader and the 30,000 cultivators of the Dongyang clan was suppressed by Su Fang's supreme divine art. They could only use 50 to 60% of their power at most. This was the power of cultivating the way of the Emperor. The divine art of the Emperor that was released could suppress the divine art and will of the enemy. The Emperor's fist, boundless divine power. Then, Su Fang threw out a punch and took a step forward. Like an overlord who was above the will of the heavens, he confronted the Dongyang clan leader. Bang! 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 Their auras collided like raging tides, shaking the sky and the earth. =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1529. Those who defy will perish, and those who comply will prosper. The Dongyang clan leader was sent flying. His face was as pale as a sheet, and his breathing was chaotic. His eyes flashed with disbelief. He looked at Su Fang as if he was looking at a terrifying beast. The 30,000 cultivators of the Dongyang clan behind him were utterly defeated. At least 1/5 of them were killed on the spot. Their corpses fell to the bottom of the main peak, and the rest were severely injured. The cultivators of the 8 great clans who were fighting with the cultivators of World Palace, Li Haojie, and the Big Goblin were swept away by the impact of the collision. Su Fang stood majestically like a mountain that couldn't be shaken at all. How domineering was it to crush a celestial venerate who had the strength of 30,000 cultivators with a single punch. How shocking was the scene. A 7 Paths Saint Immortal Realm cultivator can unleash such shocking power. This kid is extraordinary. The young master of the silent great planet must have cultivated a natal treasure. At the same time, there must be a lot of experts hiding in his body. That's why he can unleash such power. Su Fang is qualified to become a Taoist. He's worth keeping an eye on. The peerless figures of the Tianming Haotsong sect who were watching from the sky were all shocked. Su Fang released Gui Gui to kill the cultivators of the Dongyang clan, and he took the opportunity to kill the Dongyang clan leader. Gui Gui turned into a sea of blood and swept out. The cultivators of the Dongyang clan who were touched by the blood were quickly corroded and turned into blood. They were then devoured by Gui Gui. In less than 10 breaths, Gui Gui devoured more than 10,000 of the elites of the Dongyang clan, and the others fled. We lost. The Dongyang clan was defeated by a Saint Immortal Realm cultivator, and it was such a crushing defeat. Is the heavens going to destroy the Dongyang clan and make us offend such a peerless figure? The Dongyang clan leader despaired. If we don't kill this kid, the Dongyang clan will be destroyed. Leave the silent great planet and invite peerless experts from other dojos. We must kill him at all costs. The Dongyang clan leader was also a powerful figure. How could he give up when the Dongyang clan's survival was at stake? The Dongyang clan leader immediately and was about to leave. Trying to escape? Su Fang activated the illusory fire cloud and used the illusory fire cloud to burn his eyes. In an instant, Su Fang shot out 2 burning flames from his eyes. They traveled through the void like lightning and landed on the Dongyang patriarch. Heaven burning eye! Bang! The fire exploded and turned into a sea of flames that engulfed the patriarch of the Dongyang clan. The Eastern Sun clan leader kept releasing his divine power to resist the burning of the 9 suns' celestial fire. At this time, Su Fang activated his sword pill and arrived in front of him in an instant. The patriarch of the Dongyang clan has led a rebellion. Kill him! Su Fang's majestic voice that was filled with killing intent rang out in silent great star. His right hand, which had turned into a dragon claw, grabbed the head of the Dongyang patriarch. Poof! The Dongyang patriarch's head was crushed like a watermelon. Su Fang waved his hand and stored the corpse into the true dragon realm. The cultivators of the Dongyang clan and the overlords of the other 7 clans in the distance were all frightened after seeing Su Fang kill their patriarch. How could they still have the slightest bit of fighting spirit? They immediately fled from the main peak. Su Fang is extremely talented and powerful. He's also very ruthless. He's the best candidate for the position of Path Chosen. The Path Chosen competition hasn't started yet. It's too early to say this now. Besides, he's not from the Tianming Haotsang sect, so we don't know much about him. We need to observe him further. He's such a peerless genius. Those arrogant disciples in the sect are going to face a strong challenge. How can a lowly cultivator from the barren mystic region at the edge of a large world compete with the peerless genius of the Tianming Haotsang sect? In the void high in the sky, the bigwigs of the Tianming Haotsang sect discussed secretly with their nascent spirit. Some of them praised Su Fang, while some of them naturally belittled Su Fang. Su Fang raised his head and revealed a faint smile. Then, he returned to the main peak in embarrassment. Clean up the main peak. Su Fang instructed Zi Satin and went straight to his cave abode, as if nothing had happened. When Su Fang was still below the 6 paths of the Saint Immortal Realm, he had killed Devil Exalt Monsi and Exalted Truth. He had experienced countless dangers as well. Today's battle was nothing to him. He didn't even have the chance to utilize his truly formidable divine abilities and Tao artifact. Zi Satin and the other cultivators of the main peak, as well as Venerable White and the others from World Palace, looked at Su Fang's back with awe. The news that Su Fang had killed the patriarch of the Dongyang clan spread across the silent grandeur planet along with Su Fang's majestic voice. However, not many people believed it. They thought that Su Fang was deliberately spreading fake news to damage the Dongyang clan's reputation and morale. However, when the cultivators of the Dongyang clan who attacked the main peak and the cultivators of the other 7 clans fled the main peak, the news of the patriarch's death was confirmed. The entire silent grandeur planet was speechless. The Dongyang clan was the #1 clan on the silent grandeur planet. Due to the Ji Hong celestial venerable's lax management and rarely showed himself, the Dongyang clan almost monopolized the power center of the silent grandeur planet. The patriarch of the Dongyang clan was a celestial venerable and was the strongest person below the Ji Hong celestial venerable. The overall power of the Dongyang clan was second to none among the 13 major clans. The new Shao Zun, a 7 paths of the Saint Immortal Realm cultivator, had killed the patriarch of the Dongyang clan with one move. Su Fang's strength and ruthless methods shocked and horrified everyone. The Dongyang clan and the other 7 clans who had attacked the main peak with the patriarch felt as if doomsday had arrived. They were in a constant state of panic. The other 5 clans who hadn't attacked the main peak with the Dongyang clan rejoiced. The next day, below the main peak of the Silent Grandeur planet, nearly 50 million cultivators from the Dongyang clan, the Duan clan, the Wang clan, and the Ji clan gathered on the ground below the main peak and knelt in the direction of the main peak. The other 5 families had also brought their experts to the foot of the main peak. The former had come to ask for Xiao Zun's forgiveness. The latter, on the other hand, had come to express their willingness to submit to the Dongyang clan. At the same time, they had also come to compete for benefit. The Dongyang clan would definitely be unable to recover from this setback. The other 7 clans would also be severely punished. If they didn't come now, when would they? Whoosh! Su Fang's figure appeared in the sky with his hands behind his back. He looked down like a peerless ruler. Before yesterday, Su Fang was just a lucky country bumpkin who had been accepted as a disciple by the Ji Hong Celestial Venerable. At this moment, Su Fang's figure wasn't very tall, but in everyone's eyes, he was like a supreme ruler who ruled over everything. Xiao Zun, please forgive us. Greetings, Xiao Zun. The 8 clans who had participated in the attack on the main peak all trembled and knelt on the ground, waiting for Su Fang's judgment. The other 5 clans also knelt and lowered their heads to show their submission. The Dongyang clan has offended their superiors, and their patriarch has been killed by me equals N_1. I'm not a bloodthirsty person, so the members of the Dongyang clan won't pursue the matter. However, you can be spared the death penalty, and I'll take back all your power on the Jihong planet. Su Fang's voice was like the voice of the heavens, deciding the fate of the Dongyang clan. The cultivators of the Dongyang clan all breathed a sigh of relief. Although they didn't have the power they had in the past, at least they kept their lives. The other 7 clans hand over 2/3 of their power, territory, and resources on the Jihong planet, and I won't pursue the matter. The tens of millions of cultivators below all thanked him in unison. Just like that, the Dongyang clan, which used to be the #1 clan on the Jihong planet, became an ordinary clan and was completely stripped of its former glory. The other 7 clans were also greatly weakened and no longer had their former glory. The remaining cultivators of the 5 clans all looked at Su Fang expectantly. The Dongyang clan is not allowed to live on the Dongyang Peak. The Hua clan will be in charge of it, Su Fang continued. Everyone was shocked and stunned. The Hua clan was also one of the 13 clans on the Jihong planet, but it was ranked in the lower middle. It was far less powerful than the Dongyang clan. Now that the Hua clan had suddenly taken over the Dongyang Peak, it was like a huge piece of pie had fallen from the sky. Everyone in the Hua clan was confused and didn't know why the Hua clan had suddenly received Xiao Zun's favor. Huoyang has been very useful for me. Giving the Dongyang Peak to the Hua clan is his reward. Su Fang's words enlightened everyone, and they all looked at Huoyang with envy and jealousy. As for Huoyang, he was completely dumbfounded and could only laugh foolishly. He had only run errands for Xiao Zun and gathered information, but the Hua clan had received such great benefits. How could he not be overjoyed? The 7 clans will hand over 2/3 of their power and territory. The 5 clans will compete. Whoever gives me more resources and spirit items will naturally get more power and territory. With that, Su Fang was about to leave. At this moment, a female cultivator from the Duan clan on the ground suddenly shouted, Xiao Zun captured the patriarch of the Duan clan alive. How much does Xiao Zun want the Duan clan to pay for the patriarch's release? The foot of the main peak immediately fell silent. Everyone's attention was focused on this female cultivator. They secretly marveled at how bold this woman was to speak to Xiao Zun in such a tone. Was she not afraid of bringing disaster to the Duan family? This female cultivator from the Duan clan was extremely beautiful. She looked to be only 17 or 18 years old, but she was a 9th Dao Saint immortal. She was clearly a peerless genius of the Duan clan. Under everyone's gaze, the woman trembled slightly, but she still looked at Su Fong stubbornly. Su Fong was stunned. Then, he smiled faintly and sent out a Xian Guang from his right hand. An old man was released. It was the celestial venerable from the Duan clan that he had captured alive in the battle yesterday. Su Fong glanced at the female cultivator from the Duan clan and left in embarrassment. =R download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1530. Everyone in the Duan family heaved a sigh of relief. Then, they welcomed their patriarch with great joy. With a celestial venerable, even if they lost some power and territory, they wouldn't decline like the other families. The cultivators of the Dongyang family and the other 6 families left the main peak dejectedly. As for the other 5 families, they were in an uproar. They did everything they could to obtain more power and territory. At the same time, they wanted to curry favor with Xiao Zun. They discovered Xiao Zun's weakness, greed, and he seemed to be a little lecherous. Since he was greedy and lecherous, it was naturally easy to deal with him. They could use wealth and beauties to knock Xiao Zun down. Then, they wouldn't have to worry about not being able to get benefits on the silent great planet. After dealing with the 13 families, Su Fong returned to his cave abode and entered the true dragon world. Su Fong didn't care about the forces on the silent great planet. He mainly focused on the upcoming Dao Disciple competition. The Golden Origin Iron Essence, vast Yang pills, and countless spirit items and resources that he had plundered from the treasure vault needed to be digested continuously to rapidly increase his strength. This time, he had completely deprived the Dongyang family of their resources. Together with 2/3 of the resources of the other 7 families, it could be said to be a huge sum of wealth. Such a huge amount of resources gave Su Fong more confidence to deal with the upcoming catastrophe. At least for tens of thousands of years, he wouldn't have to worry about not having enough resources. After forming a seal, Su Fong's body immediately began to shatter, and he quickly turned into a pool of blood. Gui Gui walked out of the array on the side, and also turned into a pool of blood, merging with Su Fong. The dragon bird also appeared above the yellow spring blood sea. It swept the 2 corpses into the roaring yellow spring blood sea, which quickly corroded and swallowed them. This time, Su Fong killed a total of 3 celestial venerables. The body of the manager of the punishment hall was turned into a pool of blood by the sword sea. Su Fong gathered it and gave it to Bai Ling, Zhu Huang, and the other big goblin to cultivate. The remaining 2 corpses belonged to Dongyang Patriarch and a celestial venerable expert from another family. They were taken by Su Fong to cultivate with Gui Gui and Long Niao. The Dongyang clan cultivated the way of heavenly fire of the way of fire. Not only did their bodies contain an astonishing amount of life force, but they also contained an astonishing amount of fire elemental essence. It was an excellent resource for cultivating the yellow spring blood sea and the Yang meridian. The dragon bird could also devour the fire elemental essence to grow stronger. In the dragon saliva pool, the dragon bird had undergone a huge transformation after devouring the dragon chi. Recently, it had also devoured a large number of vast Yang pills, causing it to undergo another transformation. In this battle, Su Fong didn't release the dragon bird because he wanted to keep it as his trump card. The current dragon bird could threaten or even kill a mid-stage immortal venerable. The sun god's arrow of the dragon bird had a fatal restraining effect on evil and demonic cultivators. At the same time, the yang force that the dragon bird had absorbed from the divine sun flame was also very useful for Su Fong's cultivation of the yang meridian. Therefore, Su Fong wouldn't use its ability easily for the time being. The 2 corpses were quickly corroded and refined by the yellow spring blood sea. The life force was devoured and integrated by Su Fong and Gui Gui. At the same time, Su Fang extracted the fire elemental essence from the blood and condensed it into a ball of energy for the dragon bird. In such a state, Su Fang's life force was increasing crazily. The yellow spring blood sea was also transforming bit by bit. The area of the blood sea was constantly expanding. Its devouring ability and samsara divine might were also increasing. His cultivation base was climbing to the peak of the 7 Tao realm at an astonishing speed. After devouring the fire elemental essence of Dong Yang Patriarch, his Yin Yang Tao wheel was also constantly breaking through the 45th Yang meridian. Gui Gui and Long Niao were also rapidly improving and transforming. Hua. After devouring the corpses of the 2 immortal venerables, a figure of Su Fang was formed in the yellow spring blood sea. Exotic flame seed, vast yang pill. With a thought, 8 exotic flame seeds and hundreds of vast yang pills floated in front of Su Fang's main body. His main body grabbed an exotic flame seed and swallowed it directly. In an instant, Su Fang's main body began to burn like a man on fire. A wisp of flame rolled up and wrapped around the vast yang pill, sucking it into the burning flame. It turned out that Su Fang planned to devour the exotic flame seed to cultivate the fire cloud imperial body. At the same time, he also planned to use the power of the exotic flame seed and the vast yang pill to break through the 45th yang meridian. Su Fang planned to cultivate the 9 yang 9 transformations to the 5th transformation before the Taoist competition. This way, his strength would undergo another great transformation, and he would be able to become the champion of the Taoist competition and obtain the blood jade. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. While his main body was cultivating, clones were formed from the surrounding blood water. They walked out of the blood water and sat cross-legged above the blood sea. These blood water clones were used to cultivate the life shrinking technique, ethereal true interpretation, and other cultivation technique. There were also thousands of young immortals comprehending the 4 seasons reincarnation seal in the heavenly demon blood plate. There was less than 10,000 feet of blood water left around his main body. Su Fang used his mind to gather a piece of metal the size of a washbasin. This piece of metal was dark gold. It was the golden origin mother steel that he had plundered from the silent great planet's treasure vault. Su Fang planned to use the golden origin mother steel to cultivate the formless golden dipper body. The golden origin mother steel was a material formed from the great world's metal elemental origin after countless years of precipitation. It was the metal elemental treasure of the great world. The golden origin mother steel contained pure and abundant metal elemental origin. It was usually used to refine Tao artifacts. Even if a tiny bit of golden origin mother steel was infused into an ordinary Tao artifact, it would transform the ordinary Tao artifact into an extraordinary one. Its quality and power would multiply. However, to Su Fang, using the golden origin mother steel to refine a Dharma treasure was a waste. He could use it to cultivate the formless golden dipper body. It would also be of great help to the cultivation of the world seed. After the blood water tumbled for a while, it turned into a golden bronze color. It turned out that Su Fang had activated the formless golden dipper body in the state of the Acheron blood sea. This way, he could better fuse with the golden origin mother steel and rapidly improve the formless golden dipper body. The blood water wrapped around the golden origin mother steel and sucked it into the blood water. It sizzled and corroded the golden origin mother steel. Although the Acheron blood sea's devouring ability was extremely powerful, it was not easy to devour the golden origin mother steel. It was not like devouring a cultivator's body, spiritual items, or elixirs that could be devoured and fused in a few days. Sizzle, the surface of the golden origin mother steel was gradually corroded and turned into a dark gold liquid. It seeped into the blood water and became a part of it. After removing the impurities, the metal elemental essence in it became nutrients for the formless golden dipper body. At the same time, Su Fang activated the world seed and absorbed the metal elemental essence crazily. The world seed was covered with a layer of metallic luster. About 50 years passed. Su Fang's original body and the blood-water doppelgangers shattered and turned into blood-water. They merged into the golden Acheron blood sea below. In an instant, the entire Yellow Springs blood sea had turned into a faint golden ocean. It was not like before, where it was just a layer on the surface. Instead, it was this faint golden color from the inside to the outside, as if it was made of molten brass. Whoosh! The golden blood water swirled and quickly condensed into Su Fang's face, head, body, and legs. In the blink of an eye, Su Fang turned into a golden bronze man. After devouring the golden origin mother steel, the formless golden dipper body had evolved to a whole new level. At this time, Su Fang's entire body, from the inside out, was in a metallic state. What a wonderful state! I didn't expect the human body to have such great potential to transform into such a strange metallic state. Sensing the shocking changes inside and outside his body, Su Fang was also shocked. He activated the formless golden dipper body's ability. His entire body suddenly became as sturdy as a Tao artifact. Su Fang was confident that in such a state, even peerless experts like the Ji Hong Celestial Supremacy and the Qi Sword Celestial Supremacy would not be able to destroy his body with a full blow. In addition to the Dragon Subduing True Body and the Black Lotus True Body, he could recover in an instant. Then, Su Fang's arms kept changing. Sometimes they would transform into a sharp sword, sometimes into a saber, axe, hammer, and other forms. He could even transform into a molten iron state. Not only could he release his metal elemental godly aura, but he could also create a metal elemental domain, turning everything within the domain into metal. Good. The formless golden dipper body is really wonderful. The formless golden dipper body was both defensive and offensive. It was powerful and unique, and Su Fang was very happy. However, Su Fang's formless golden dipper body was still far from being mature. He still needed to continuously devour the metal essence to continue growing. My cultivation base is about to reach the peak of the 7 paths of the Saint Immortal Realm, and the 45th Yang Meridian is about to be born. What I lack is an opportunity to create a new Yang Meridian. Gui, Long Niao, Sister Bai, Zhu Huang, and the other big goblin's strength, Li Haojie, the Lord of 5 Poisons' strength, and the Junior Commander's strength have all transformed. With such a great harvest, this trip to the Destiny Bright Heavenly Sect was not in vain. At this moment, Zizhan's voice came from outside the cave abode. Young Master, a cultivator from the First Heaven Dojo has come to visit. The First Heaven Dojo? The First Heaven Dojo was located on a material continent surrounded by 80 stars in the Destiny Bright Heavenly Sect. It was also the core dojo mystic realm of the Destiny Bright Heavenly Sect. It was known as the First Heaven Dojo, which was how the First Heaven Dojo got its name. Su Fang left the True Dragon Realm and walked out of the cave abode, arriving at the main peaks hall. You're the young master of the great dojo? The newcomer was a man in a white robe. He was about 27 or 28 years old. Judging from his appearance, he was much older than Su Fang. However, he had a disdainful aura. The way he looked at Su Fang gave off a feeling of superiority. I am Su Fang, he responded coolly. What's the matter? Screech the white-robed man flicked out a golden card. The words, First Heaven, were carved on the front with immortal motes, while the back had the image of a resplendent palace. The First Heaven Dojo has decided to hold a banquet for geniuses in Destiny City. All geniuses in the 81 sites are invited to attend. Jihong Dojo's invitation was originally for Dongyang Lai. Since Dongyang Lai was killed by you, it's only natural that you take his place. The banquet will be held half a month from now. Take the geniuses of the great dojo with you when the time comes. Don't be late and others will laugh at you. The white-robed young man flicked a disdainful glance at Su Fang before leaving in embarrassment. equals underscore our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1531. Tao Enchantment Fairy. The disciples of the Tianyi Dojo were so arrogant that they didn't take Su Fang seriously at all. This stunned Su Fang. Z Satin said, "The Tianyi Dojo is the #1 dojo of the Tianyi Dojo. Most of the upper echelons and big shots of the sect come from there. Moreover, there are many peerless geniuses there. 7 of the top 10 disciples of the Tianyi Dojo are disciples of the Tianyi Dojo. Thus, the cultivators of the Tianyi Dojo are all extremely arrogant and domineering. Xiao Zun, don't mind such people." Su Fang smiled faintly. He naturally wouldn't take such people seriously. Z Satin continued, "Not only will the peerless geniuses of the Tianyi Dojo participate in this Tao disciple competition, but there will also be peerless geniuses from other great worlds and immortal realms. The Tianyi Dojo is holding a banquet and inviting the geniuses to gather. They clearly want to use this opportunity to find out the truth. Xiao Zun, you can ignore them." Su Fang said decisively, "I want to see the peerless geniuses of the Tianyi Dojo. Why shouldn't I go? Go inform the geniuses of the 12 clans to come with me to the banquet." Su Fang naturally wouldn't miss the gathering of the peerless geniuses of the great worlds. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! Su Fang walked out of his cave abode and came to the plaza of the main peak. "Greetings, Xiao Zun." A dozen young cultivators cupped their fists and bowed to Su Fang. The Dongyang clan of the 13 clans of the solitary Great Planet had been removed from the list. Their genius disciple, Dongyang Lai, had been killed by Su Fang. Now, the most outstanding disciples of the 12 clans were all gathered here, ready to attend the banquet with Su Fang. They were all very excited, but their eyes were filled with respect when they looked at Su Fang. The geniuses of World Palace, Feng Ling, Ling Yu, the bald cultivator, Li Haojie, the Lord of 5 Poisons, and the monk were all waiting here. They were much more casual in front of Su Fang. Su Fang's divine light swept across the geniuses of the silent Great Planet. When he saw the female cultivator who dared to ask Su Fang for the Duan family head in front of everyone, Su Fang smiled. Su Fang asked, "What's your name?" "Disciple's name is Duan Xiuxiu." The female disciple braced herself and answered. Before Su Fang could say anything, Duan Xiuxiu continued, "Xiao Zun, I already have a partner." Su Fang was confused. Li Haojie transmitted his primordial spirit voice. "Brother Su, the news of you letting Duan clan leader go that day has spread all over Silent Great Star, saying that you coveted Duan Xiuxiu's beauty, which was why you let Duan clan leader go so easily. Also, you took the resources of the 8 major families and sold their territories without restraint. Now, not only Silent Great Star, but the entire Tianming Haotsong sect knows that Xiao Zun of Silent Great Dojo is greedy and licentious. Some people even say that you dual cultivate with at least 10 women every day. Hee, Brother Su's reputation isn't very good right now." Su Fang was shocked and stunned. He felt very depressed. At this moment, a burst of laughter came from the blood jade, making Su Fang so angry that he almost spat blood. "Let's go." Su Fangda waved his hand and led everyone through the boundary formation outside Silent Great Star, then went straight to the material continent at the center of Tianming Haotsong sect. Tianming Haotsong sect was made up of 80 planets and the material continent at the center. The material continent was called Tianming Celestial Land. It was very vast, almost 10 times larger than Solitary Heaven Great World. Tianyi Dojo was built deep behind Tianming Celestial Land. There were also empires and immortal cities on Tianming Celestial Land. Tianyi Dojo's banquet was held in Clear Sky City, at the center of Tianming Celestial Land. Tianming Haotsong sect used this place to entertain distinguished guests. Whoosh! Su Fang led everyone through the space formation from Silent Great Star to Clear Sky City in Tianming Celestial Land. As soon as they walked out of the space formation, They saw vast palaces and buildings as well as cultivators coming and going. Saint immortal cultivators could be seen everywhere. Most of them were world immortals. It was rare to see immortal exalt. The natural spirit chi here was much denser than silent great star dojo. Su Fang could even sense that there was a hint of heavenly fate chi in Tianming celestial land. It was as if the entire Tianming celestial land was protected by heavenly fate. With such luck, it was no wonder that Tianming Haotsong sect could become the top sect in a great world and lead the immortal Tao. They flew on the sword for more than 2 hours. They arrived in front of Clear Sky Golden Palace. The entire Clear Sky Golden Palace was shrouded in the golden light of a formation. All that could be seen with the naked eye was the huge palace floating in the air. It emitted beams of golden light and had a domineering and noble aura. It was as if a palace from heavenly fate had landed in the great world. There was a sea of people outside Clear Sky Golden Palace. They had all heard that Tianyi Dojo was holding a genius banquet in Clear Sky Golden Palace and had come to see the glory of the peerless geniuses of the great world. There was a formation passage that led to Clear Sky Golden Palace. There were hundreds of Tianming Haotsong sect cultivators guarding the entrance. They only let people in after checking their invitations. "Let's go in too." Su Fang only had one invitation, but the others could follow him into Clear Sky Golden Palace as his followers. There was a long line at the entrance of the formation passage. There weren't many peerless geniuses who were qualified to be invited by Tianyi Dojo, but there were still many of them. Su Fang could only lead the others to follow behind the line. A foreign cultivator? It was easy to sense an aura that didn't belong to Tianming Haotsong sect from Su Fang's body, which made the other cultivators look at him. In Tianming Royal City, Tianming Haotsong sect cultivators were superior. Cultivators from other immortal realms were naturally a bunch of country bumpkins who were looked down upon. In addition, everyone who came to participate in the banquet was dressed in bright clothes. Some people even wore Taoist tools that could make their temperament extraordinary. Su Fang, on the other hand, was wearing an ordinary green Taoist robe. Naturally, people snorted at him. Li Haojie, the Lord of 5 Poisons, and the monk all looked around. They were curious about everything. They were living country bumpkins entering the city. The monk, in particular, was bald. His eyes were glancing at the Tao artifacts and storage rings of those geniuses. It was even more detestable. Words like country bumpkin and poor could be heard. It made the cultivators of Jai Hongsing and World Palace blush. Whoosh, a ferocious and violent aura swept over. A giant demon tens of thousands of feet tall came tumbling over, setting off a wave of divine aura. The surrounding cultivators who were watching the show swayed. Some of the weaker ones were sent flying like straws. This giant demon was a flood dragon with a single horn and dragon claws. An ancient flood dragon. More than 10 Tianming Haotsong sect cultivators stood on the flood dragon's back. The leader was a woman in red. She looked at the chaotic crowd and laughed wantonly. More than 10 young cultivators stood behind her. Each of them had an ordinary and handsome aura. Feng Wuzi was among them. This primordial flood dragon was much more terrifying than the one Su Fang had seen in the Xianjia Gate. The woman in red was able to suppress such a giant demon as her mount. Her strength and identity were extraordinary. The cultivators who were sent flying by the flood dragon's divine aura were furious, but they didn't dare to make a sound. Who knew that after circling around, the flood dragon would charge toward the passage without any restraint. It was domineering and arrogant. Among the peerless geniuses waiting in front of the passage, someone was about to curse when someone beside him quickly stopped him. "That's Dao Xian Tian's sister, Dao Mei Xian." The surrounding people immediately sucked in a breath of cold air and dodged to the side. Dao Mei Xian. Su Fang raised his eyebrows and led the crowd to the side. Su Fang didn't know Dao Mei Xian, but Su Fang knew her brother, Dao Xian Tian. He was ranked 7th among the top 10 disciples of Tianming Haotsong sect. Those who could make it to the top 10 disciples were all peerless geniuses. They all had powerful backers in Tianming Haotsong sect. Su Fang didn't want to provoke such people for no reason. Besides, clashing with a woman like Dao Mei Xian wasn't something to be proud of. The charming saber immortal looked down at the geniuses in front of the passageway and smiled arrogantly. She was about to jump down from the ancient flood dragon when Feng Wuzi caught sight of Su Fang from the corner of his eyes. His eyes immediately turned cold, and he said something to the charming saber immortal. Dao Meixian raised her eyebrows and sized up Su Fang. Then she sneered disdainfully. Since when did the Tiani Taoist sect's genius wine banquet become so low? Even a lowly ant from the outer immortal domain is qualified to participate? Su Fang smiled faintly and ignored this arrogant woman. Su Fang could fight against immortal sovereigns, but arguing with women wasn't his specialty. Plus, there was no benefit to winning. Seeing Xiao Zun being humiliated, Duan Xiuxiu couldn't help but shout coldly, "This is Xiao Zun of Jihong Planet. His status is the same as the elders and the top 10 disciples. Dao Meixian, how dare you speak so rudely and apologize to Xiao Zun?" Everyone else on Jihong Planet was silent. Only Duan Xiuxiu stood out to defend Xiao Zun, which surprised Su Fang. Dao Meixian sneered, "Xiao Zun? What right does a lowly person from the outer immortal domain have to be Jihong Planet's Xiao Zun? How dare he compare himself to the top 10 disciples of Tianming Haotsong sect? It looks like this lowly ant dotes on you quite a bit. Otherwise, why would you jump out to defend him?" Duan Xiuxiu's face turned red from anger. Just as she was about to retort, Su Fang shook his head. "Her mouth is on her body. Let her say whatever she wants. Those who say others are actually lowly on the inside. They can only use their mouths to hide their lowliness. Why should we lower ourselves to their level? Lowly ant, how dare you humiliate me like this? Do you know who I am?" Dao Meixian raised an eyebrow in anger. Her eyes were burning with anger. Su Fang said coldly, "You're just a lowly woman who uses her brother's power to humiliate others to make herself look noble. I don't need to know you. You want to die? I'm going to suppress you." The enchanted Dao Xian let out a thunderous roar as she controlled the ancient flood dragon to swoop down towards Su Fang and the others. Her ferocious aura formed a shocking shackle that enveloped Su Fang and the others. "A lowly insect dares to show off in front of me?" Su Fang snickered coldly. Boom! The might of a divine dragon erupted with a loud bang. =_our download address, mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1532. The ancient flood dragon belonged to the flood dragon clan. Although it was called a dragon, it was not a real divine dragon. It was a ferocious demon with some dragon blood. The divine dragon was a divine beast, a supreme existence among all beasts. Its majesty was inviolable. The power of the divine dragon was a natural deterrent to any big goblin or other ferocious beast. Su Fang's dragon subduing real body had matured. He could turn into a real divine dragon. The power he released was no different from the divine dragon. Under the might of the dragon god, the ancient flood dragon's ferocious aura was instantly shattered. It let out a terrified howl as its huge body trembled like a frightened little snake. It quickly curled up N_1. The charming Dao Immortal and the others were caught off guard. They were thrown off the ancient flood dragon's back and screamed, "Seeing that you are a woman, I will not make things difficult for you." Su Fang sneered. His voice was intimidating and domineering. He glanced at the charming Dao Immortal and then flew towards the entrance of the skyward golden palace. The charming Dao Immortal felt cold after being glanced at by Su Fang. She almost collapsed. Her stomach contracted and she almost peed in her pants. The charming Dao Immortal usually relied on her family and her brother Dao Xiantian's power to be arrogant and overbearing. She had never lost so much face in front of so many people. When she recovered from her fear, she was both shocked and furious. "I will kill you!" The charming Dao Xian clenched her teeth and activated a long black whip Dharma treasure. Like a giant snake, it spat out a gloomy black glow and attacked Su Fang's back with a terrifying aura that seemed capable of tearing everything apart. Looks like I have to teach you a lesson. Su Fang did not want to cause trouble, but that did not mean he was afraid of it. He raised his eyebrows. Purple chi appeared in his right palm. He flipped his hand and grabbed at the whip. The long whip Dharma treasure was a top-grade Dao item. Although it was extraordinary, how could it resist the purple chi Dharma spirit's divine power? After struggling and shaking for a while, the whip was no longer under the charming Dao Immortal's control. It flew into Su Fang's hand. The charming Dao Immortal was both shocked and stunned. She looked at Su Fang in disbelief. Go! At this moment, Su Fang flicked her wrist, and a black Xian Guang came out of her black whip. It slashed across the right side of the charming saber fairy's face, leaving a 5-inch-long scar. Blood gushed out from the wound, and half of the charming saber fairy's face swelled up like a steamed bun. This is just a light punishment. If you continue to pester me, I'll take your life. And you, Feng Wuzi, I haven't settled the score with you yet you still dare to sow discord and fan the flames. Sooner or later, this young master will take your head. Su Fang ignited a ball of white flame in his hand and swept it across the whip. He tossed the whip to the enchanted Dao fairy before leading everyone into the tunnel. Under the gazes of awe, they entered the skyward golden palace. The charming Dao Immortal sensed that the artifact spirit in the artifact was gone. Even the formations and immortal patterns in the artifact had been erased. Her most beloved artifact had turned into a piece of trash. She felt a burning pain on her face. Blood flowed out and dyed half of her face red. The charming Dao Immortal let out a sharp and venomous roar. Lowly ant, my brother will never let you go. He will pull out your tendons and skin you alive. You really think you can do whatever you want in the Heaven's Mandate, Haotsang sect, just because you've become the young master of the Jihong Dojo? I can take your life with a little trick. Feng Wuzi's eyes revealed a smug sneer. The cultivators nearby whispered. Some clapped their hands in secret, while others mocked Su Fangdao for being so arrogant. He even dared to attack the sister of one of the top 10 disciples, Dao Xian Tian. Su Fang passed through the formation and appeared on the square in front of the skyward golden palace. Flowers bloomed like brocades in the square. Pleasant celestial music lingered in the air. A young cultivator with an extraordinary air of nobility was chatting cheerfully and wittily. The male cultivators were all young and talented, while the female cultivators were all outstanding beauties of the world. Many young and beautiful female cultivators dressed as maids shuttled through the crowd to serve the geniuses. Brother, you don't look familiar. I wonder where you're a peerless genius from? A slender and handsome young cultivator asked politely when he saw Su Fang, who had just arrived. He scanned this person with his peak stage power and sensed his aura. His cultivation had reached the level of an immortal venerable. His aura also contained the fortune of the heavenly Tao, as if he was a favored child of the heavenly Tao. This person was clearly a peerless genius of the Heaven's Mandate, Haotsang sect. With his cultivation, he was definitely one of the top 10 disciples. I am Su Fang from the Jihong planet, Su Fang said with a cupped fist salute. The young master of the Jihong dojo, Su Fang? The handsome young cultivator's deep eyes flashed with a wisp of light, and his expression became even more polite. I am Lu Yuetian of the Tiani dojo. I am in charge of this banquet. I have long heard of the great name of Su Fang's young master, but I have never had the chance to meet you. It is truly an honor to meet you today. Lu Yuetian? Su Fang's heart shook. The cultivators of World Palace and the Jihong planet behind him exclaimed. Lu Yuetian was a peerless genius of the Heaven's Mandate, Haotsang sect. Not only was he one of the top 10 disciples, but he was also ranked third. He was famous in the sect, and his status was no less than the sovereign of other dojos outside of the Tiani dojo. Moreover, he was shrewd and sly and was highly regarded by the higher-ups of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. Lu Yuetian was also one of the most popular geniuses in this competition. Lu Yuetian enthusiastically introduced Su Fang to the young geniuses of the dojo. The Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect was indeed worthy of being the #1 sect in the great world. They produced many geniuses. These young cultivators all looked to be less than 30 years old, and many of them had reached the immortal venerable realm. The geniuses who were qualified to participate in the Tao disciple competition were limited to a cultivation time of 1,000,000 years. In other words, although 1,000,000 years seemed long, being able to reach the immortal venerable realm in 1,000,000 years was extremely rare in the great world. Of course, talent was the prerequisite. To be able to reach such heights, the sect had to invest a lot of resources and meticulous nurturing. Otherwise, it would be impossible to reach such height. There was almost no one like Su Fang who had reached the Saint Immortal realm through his own cultivation. There was also no one who had reached the 7 paths of Saint Immortal realm in just over 2,000 years. Many geniuses were also sizing up Su Fang. After seeing Su Fang's cultivation and sensing that he wasn't from the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect, most of the geniuses showed disdain. Those who knew etiquette even said a few perfunctory words to Su Fang. Those who were more arrogant went to other places and didn't put Su Fang in their eyes. Lu Yuetian, a peerless genius of the Heaven's Mandate dojo, knew about Su Fang's true strength from the higher-ups of the sect. He knew that Su Fang was a formidable opponent in the Tao disciple competition, so he was very polite to Su Fang. Feng Ling's reputation was not small either. He was surrounded by many cultivators, especially female cultivators, who wanted to make friends with him. He was even more popular than Su Fang. The Tao disciple competition was naturally the most popular topic among the geniuses. The names that were mentioned the most were Dao Hengtian and Mo Wutian. Dao Hengtian, Mo Wutian, the first and second disciples of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect, had unfathomable strength. If the world hadn't changed and the immortal Tao world was facing a catastrophe, the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect would have held the Tao disciple competition to prepare for the immortal demon war. The next leader of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect would have been chosen from these two. While they were talking, a crisp sound was heard, followed by the sound of things falling to the ground. "Blind bitch, this Xiao Zun asked for 10,000,000-year-old honey wine, but you gave me 10,000,000-year-old fruit wine. You really deserve to die." A blue-robed cultivator pointed at a beautiful maid and scolded loudly. The maid was slapped in the face, leaving a palm print. She knelt on the ground and trembled as she apologized. Su Fang raised his eyebrows but didn't say anything. In the great world where the strong preyed on the weak, such things were too common. It was common for some female cultivators with no background to be forcibly robbed. They were sold like livestock or used as cultivation furnaces. Their fates were very miserable. Some were even secretly sold to the demon world and became breeding tools for the demon race. Who knew that when Su Fang looked away, old monster Zhu Tian's voice suddenly sounded in his body, "Master, please save this maid." Hearing the agitated voice of old monster Zhu Tian, Su Fang was surprised and replied with his spirit, "Do you know this woman? She is my daughter, Zhong Yuro. I don't know what happened to her family, but she ended up in the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect and became a lowly maid." Old monster Zhu Tian said with a trembling voice. It turned out that old monster Zhu Tian wasn't a cultivator from the celestial realm that Su Fang came from. Instead, he came from another celestial realm. Old monster Zhu Tian wasn't his real name. His real name was Zhou, and the cultivation family he came from was one of the top families in the celestial realm. He went to the lightning realm to find the medicine emperor's inheritance and left his hometown for more than 200,000 years. He came to the central immortal domain to return to his hometown. He didn't expect to meet his daughter in the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect and be reduced to a maid. Ever since he was taken in by Su Fang, old monster Zhu Tian did his best to refine pills for Su Fang. The Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Pill and King Grade pills were continuously supplied to Su Fang, his subordinates, and the Big Goblin. It could be said that he was the most important subordinate of Su Fang. In Su Fang's heart, he was second only to Li Haojie, the Lord of Five Poisons, Bai Ling, the Green Feather Emperor, and other friends who ascended with him from a small world. Su Fang wanted to save old monster Zhu Tian's daughter at all costs. Brother Lu. Su Fang directly found Lu Yu Tian. I see that this maid is pitiful and want to buy her. Can you make an exception? I heard that Brother Su likes beautiful women. I didn't expect that even a maid like this could enter your eyes. Lu Yu Tian laughed. Su Fang was depressed. When did he like beautiful women? He could only rub his nose and smile bitterly. He didn't explain anything. Of course, he couldn't. =_our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1533. 10 Great Disciples. Lu Yu Tian immediately activated the rune talisman and contacted an elder in charge of the heavenly mandate, Haotsong sect. This elder was called Yuan Ming. Although he was an elder, because he was in charge of the servants, his status was far inferior to Lu Yu Tian's. After receiving Lu Yu Tian's message, he immediately rushed over. However, Elder Yuan Ming was very shrewd. When he heard Su Fang's meaning, he immediately showed a troubled expression. If it was any other servant girl, it would be fine to give her to Xiao Zun directly. But Zhong Yuro is not an ordinary servant girl. Although her cultivation is average, her talent in alchemy is extraordinary. She has always been focused on and is going to be sent to the alchemy dojo. This banquet is short of manpower, so she was sent here to help. Also, she is still a virgin. Su Fang raised his eyebrows and said, "Is 10,000 peak supreme grade Yin-Yang Immortal Sky pills enough?" The Yin-Yang Immortal Sky pellet was extremely famous in the Heaven's Fate Luminous Azure sect. Furthermore, it was priceless. The peak supreme grade Yin-Yang Immortal Sky pellet had never appeared on the market before. By estimation, 10,000 peak supreme grade Yin-Yang Immortal Sky pellets could buy about 10 peak supreme grade Dao artifact. In the eyes of peerless experts, a servant girl was worthless. They could kill her at will and give her to others. How could she be worth so many peak supreme grade Yin-Yang Immortal Sky pills? Elder Yuan Ming was overjoyed, but he didn't show it on his face. He looked reluctant. Since Xiao Zun wants this servant girl and young master Lu Yu Tian is here, I can only agree. Su Fang casually took out 10,000 peak supreme grade Yin-Yang Immortal Sky pills. Elder Yuan Ming accepted them with a smile and then brought the servant girl Zhong Yuro to Su Fang. When she heard that Su Fang had paid to buy her, Zhong Yuro panicked and looked pitiful like a frightened chick. Although her status was low now, she had extraordinary talent in alchemy. It wouldn't be long before she could enter the alchemy dojo and become an ordinary disciple of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. Now that she had fallen into the hands of Great Dojo's Xiao Zun, who knew what fate awaited her. Go and serve Xiao Zun well. I guarantee that your future will be limitless. Maybe Xiao Zun will be happy and help you find your father, Elder Yuan Ming said with a smile. Zhong Yuro felt like the end of the world had arrived, her legs stiff as she walked towards Su Fang. Right at this moment, a cold shout was heard, "This seat wants this servant girl." The next moment, a black-robed young man appeared above the square through the spirit array and stepped out, blocking Zhong Yuro's path. This black-robed young man had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. His body exuded a supreme domineering aura and peerless sharpness, giving others the feeling that he was showing off his ability. Whirling blade. There was a burst of exclamations in the square. This person was Charming Dao's brother, Dao Xiantian, ranked 7th among the 10 great disciples of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. Those who could enter the top 10 disciples were all peerless geniuses. Dao Xiantian was ranked 7th. Although he wasn't the strongest, he was the most domineering and ruthless in his actions. Everyone in the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect knew about him. Swish, swish. Charming Dao led more than a dozen cultivators to the square of the heavenly golden palace. Pointing at Su Fang, Charming Dao shouted angrily, "Brother, this is the person who injured me and destroyed my Dharma treasure." Dao Xuantian's eyes shot out a sharp light as he swept Su Fang, then coldly shouted at Elder Yuan Ming, "I, Dao Xiantian, want this servant girl. Return all the valuables you have received." "Yes." Elder Yuan Ming said very obediently. Then, he threw the storage ring containing 10,000 peak-grade Yin-Yang Immortal Sky pills to Su Fang. "Young Master Jihong, I'm very sorry, but we can't do this deal." Su Fangdao waved his hand, and a divine power swept the storage ring back to Elder Yuan Ming. He said coldly, "How can you go back on a deal that has already been completed? I don't care if you accept the pills or not, but I must take her away." Lu Yu Tian did not say a word at the side. He did not have any intention of interfering. This person handled matters smoothly and slyly. He made friends with geniuses from all over the place. Being courteous to Su Fang was naturally because he wanted to make friends with him. Now that Dao Xiantian had suddenly appeared, a conflict was imminent. Lu Yu Tian naturally wouldn't offend Dao Xiantian for an outsider like Su Fang. Seeing Lu Yu Tian act like he didn't want to get involved, Elder Yuan Ming naturally understood his intentions. His face immediately became gloomy as he coldly said to Su Fang, "Although young master's identity is noble, in the heavenly golden palace, it is not a place where you can be arrogant." "I'm arrogant?" Since Elder Yuan Ming wants to reverse black and white and say I'm arrogant, I'll just be arrogant for once. So what? Su Fang laughed involuntarily and immediately stepped forward towards Zhong Yuro. "Lowly ant, this king wants to see what qualifications you have to be arrogant here, even daring to injure this king's little sister. Don't you want this maidservant? Then this king will kill her and then let you know what the consequences of offending this king are. Let's see what Ji Hong, Immortal Venerable, can do after I kill you." Dao Xiantian raised his hand and a cold and sharp Xian Guang shot out towards Zhong Yuro. "You dare!" Su Fang urged his sword pill and raised his hand to release a thin silver sword qi that swept towards Dao Xiantian. Dao Xiantian knew how powerful the silver sword qi was. He turned around and slashed with his arm. It was like a divine sword had been unsheathed. It had an unstoppable aura. It was as if the sky could be torn apart by his aura. Any god art, aura, territory, or space would be cut in half by his slash. This person cultivated the Tao of the saber. It was overbearing and sharp, and its attack power was astonishing. Chi chi chi. The silver sword qi shot through Dao Xuantian's aura but was unable to shake him. Instead, it was shattered by the incomparably sharp saber intent. Whoosh! At this moment, Su Fang urged his sword pill's ability to instantly travel through the void, leaving behind an afterimage that was shattered by the saber light. However, Su Fang's true body appeared near Dao Xiantian. Such a Dharma treasure is quite extraordinary. Dao Xiantian was surprised, but immediately, layers of saber light burst out, forming a wave of saber light that surged out violently. Qi. A sharp metal elemental divine might burst out from Su Fang's body. His skin, flesh, and bones rapidly changed, turning into a bronze statue that looked like it was made of brass. Then, he rushed out without any scruples. Dao Xuantian's saber light wrapped around Su Fang's body, causing an ear-piercing sound of metal clashing. It left a deep saber mark on Su Fang's formless golden shield. However, Su Fang seemed to be unaware of it. He allowed the saber light to sweep over his body. Then, his fist transformed into a huge hammer, smashing heavily on Dao Xuantian's defense with an unstoppable force. A large portion of his defense shattered, and a large hole appeared in his black robe. Even his flesh-fetus divine armor was shattered. He retreated more than 1,000 feet before stabilizing himself. After a layer of golden light flashed over Su Fang's body, the wounds on his body instantly healed, as though he had never been injured. To cultivate his physical body to such a level, it's like a metal elemental divine power. Both his defense and attack are astonishing. Dao Xuantian's eyes exuded a solemn look. Although he was overbearing, he was still one of the top 10 disciples. He could see the power of Su Fang's formless golden shield at a glance. On the square, the geniuses couldn't help but exclaim when they saw Su Fang use such a strange true body ability. World Palace's Feng Ling and the other geniuses were also shocked. Of course, they knew that Jin Wuxiang had been killed by Su Fang in World Palace's Star River trial space. But they didn't expect Su Fang to use Jin Wuxiang's formless golden shield body, and it was much stronger than Jin Wuxiang's. How could they not be shocked? Su Fang used the power of his spirit to transmit old monster Zhu Tian's voice to Zhongyuro. Yuro, I'm your father. I'm obeying Xiao Zun's orders. Let him take you away from here. Father, Zhongyuro was dumbfounded. She allowed Su Fang to take her into the true dragon realm. The father and daughter were naturally overjoyed to see each other. The person I want, no one can hurt her. Su Fang looked at Dao Xiantian. His faint voice was domineering. Feng Wuzi instigated loudly, Su Fang, you're so arrogant. A lowly ant from the desolate immortal region dares to ignore the top 10 disciples of Tianming Haotsong sect? Dao Meixian also shouted fiercely, Brother, suppress this person. I want to torture him for 1,000,000 years to vent the hatred in my heart. So ruthless and vicious. It seems that the lesson I taught you before was too light. The silver ring on Su Fang's finger suddenly flashed with a dazzling silver xian guang. The next moment, a power that could distort space surged out of the ring, and Su Fang disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Dao Meixian and Feng Wuzi. He was so fast that many geniuses couldn't see him. Dao Meixian and Feng Wuzi couldn't react at all. Boom! Feng Wuzi was sent flying by Su Fang's domineering punch. He crashed into the barrier 1,000 feet away, and then bounced back. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura immediately weakened to the extreme. Not only that, his internal organs and meridians were also penetrated by Su Fang's metal elemental power and rapidly turned into metal. Although he managed to keep his life, he was still heavily injured. Without 100,000 years of careful treatment, he would not be able to recover. And Su Fang had scruples and didn't want to kill in public. Otherwise, Feng Wuzi would have been killed on the spot. When Feng Wuzi was sent flying, Su Fang reached out and grabbed Dao Meixian's neck. His metal elemental right hand exuded a cold, murderous aura, causing Dao Meixian to tremble. She was no longer as arrogant and domineering as before. If you dare touch a hair on her head, I will turn you into ashes. Dao Xiantian roared angrily. However, Dao Meixian was in Su Fang's hands. He didn't dare to attack for fear of breaking the vases. Su Fang sneered. Your sister keeps saying that she wants to kill me, but I can't touch a hair on her head. Dao Xiantian, you're not domineering at all. Dao Meixian roared angrily. Lowly ant, you dare. Why wouldn't I dare? Don't forget, your brother is one of the top 10 disciples of the Destiny Haotsong sect, and I am the young master of the Destiny Haotsong sect's Jihong dojo. My status is no less than your brother's. If you want to kill me, you have to pay a price. No one can save you. Su Fang's deep eyes were cold. =R download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1534. Exalted Immortal Yang Julu Yuetian raised an eyebrow and tried to dissuade Su Fang. Brother Su, I'm the host of this banquet. If something happens, I won't be able to answer to the higher-ups. Can you let charming Saber Immortal go for my sake? Su Fang sneered inwardly. What were you doing just now? Now you've jumped out. The 10 great disciples of the Heaven's Mandate Houtsong sect are all jackals of the same tribe. Your face is worthless. You're a foreign cultivator who was lucky enough to be favored by exalted immortal Jihong and become the young master of exalted Jihong. Do you think you can be so arrogant in the Heaven's Mandate Houtsong sect? You dare to hurt someone in the Heaven's Golden Palace? What do you think the first Heaven Dao sect is? Let Charming Saber Immortal go, or you'll be an enemy of the first Heaven Dao sect. A skinny young cultivator with a sallow face shouted coldly. He was also one of the 10 great disciples of the Heaven's Mandate Houtsong sect, Xiao Zhangtian. Then a purple-robed cultivator threatened, "Although I don't like Dao Xian Tian, that doesn't mean I'll let an outsider offend the 10 great disciples. If you dare to hurt Charming Saber Immortal, you'll be provoking the 10 great disciples of the Heaven's Mandate Houtsong sect." The peerless geniuses who had been drinking and chatting courteously just a moment ago all turned ferocious in an instant. This was the great world, this was the 10 great disciples of the Heaven's Mandate Houtsong sect. They might be polite on the surface, but they were arrogant in their bones. They didn't care about Su Fang, a cultivator from another immortal domain, and turned hostile faster than flipping a book. What a domineering Heaven's Mandate Houtsong sect! What a 10 great disciple! Su Fang sneered inwardly. Su Fang sneered, "So you're saying I can only let Dao Xian Tian bully me, and I can't resist at all? I, Su Fang, may be from the desolate immortal domain, and my status isn't as noble as yours, but I'm not a weakling who can't fight back. If someone respects me, I'll respect him 10. If someone bullies me, I'll return it 10 times over. And you dare!" Dao Xiantian and the rest of the disciples yelled furiously. "Why not?" Su Fang's eyes were cold. The Xian Guang flashed in his left hand as he struck the charming Dao deity's abdomen, crippling her cultivation path before throwing her to the side. "Lowly ant, you actually dared to cripple my gold core. Brother, kill him. I want to tear him into pieces." The charming Dao immortal screamed in fear and anger. "Ant, you're courting death." A blade light shot out from the top of Dao Xiantian's head, turning into a crescent moon blade. It shone with a peerless sharpness. With the power to split the sky and earth, it slashed towards Su Fang. The sharp aura caused the array around the square to crumble layer by layer. Such a Dao artifact had already surpassed the peak of Supreme Grade and reached the height of King Grade Dao artifact. However, its quality was inferior to the Yellow Springs Reincarnation Sword and the Heavenly Creation Cauldron. Boom! Su Fang unleashed the power of the Purple Qi Dharma Spirit to control the magic treasure, causing Dao Xian Tian's crescent moon blade to tremble and buzz. At the same time, Su Fang activated his sword pellet and instantly traversed through the void. Under the state of the faceless golden body, he punched out and caught Dao Xian Tian off guard. Dao Xian Tian was indeed one of the 10 great disciples of Tianming Houtsong sect. Su Fang's punch only shattered his defensive aura and did not injure him. Just as Su Fang was about to follow up with another attack, a cold and sinister aura suddenly swept over from behind. Boom! Su Fang's body and divine aperture felt as if someone had ruthlessly smashed them with a hammer. Then, an evil force seeped into his body, causing his genuine qi and blood to flow backward. His body rapidly weakened as if he had suddenly contracted a serious illness. What kind of strange divine ability is this? Su Fangdao was shocked. He activated the 9 suns celestial fire and swept out from his body to refine and suppress the evil force. Hand of Pestilence Heaven, suppress. Turned out to be one of the 10 great disciples, Xiao Zhangtian. After his sneak attack on Su Fang failed, he once again formed a hand seal and condensed it into a 300-meter-long palm print that struck towards Su Fang. Within the palm print, there was an evil aura that caused Su Fang's vital spirit and blood to churn once again. A layer of red spots quickly appeared on his body, as if he had contracted a disease. His vital spirit was also in a daze. Heaven's secret life shrinking technique, 9 suns, celestial fire. In the sea of Su Fang's divine aperture, the illusory fate flames burned and incinerated the evil force that affected his vital spirit. At the same time, he activated the fire cloud imperial physique, and his body also entered a state of burning. The evil force was refined. Then, he separated his hands and struck out over 100 flaming cloud blade rays. Boom! 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 The blade rays collided with the palm print, causing a large amount of dazzling flaming clouds to explode. Every destructive explosion shattered the palm print into pieces before finally shattering. More than a dozen blade rays landed around Xiao Zhangtian. Waves of flaming clouds exploded, forming a sea of fire that engulfed Xiao Zhangtian. To be able to repel Dao Xiantian and even break Xiao Zhangtian's divine ability, Su Fang's strength is enough to be ranked among the 10 great disciples. Everyone in the square was shocked. Some of the peerless geniuses who were planning to attack hesitated. Suddenly, a majestic voice suddenly sounded from the void. "How dare you attack and injure people in the skyward golden palace, defying the sex laws? Today, I will teach you a good lesson on behalf of Jihong." Boom! A divine aura descended from the sky and enveloped Su Fang's surroundings, forming a terrifying shackle. To be able to release such a divine aura, he was definitely not an ordinary immortal venerable. He was even stronger than Ji Hong and Qi Jian, reaching the peak of mid-stage immortal venerable. Such a peerless expert, Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect is indeed full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Su Fang was greatly shocked. At this moment, Luo spoke from the blood jade in his body. "Su Fang, this person must be a big shot in Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect, or at least a sect master. It's unwise to go against a higher-up for a disciple of Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. Now that you're alone, you have to endure when necessary." With Su Fang's current strength, it wouldn't be difficult for him to break free from the shackle, kill Xiao Zhangtian, and leave the skyward golden palace. However, it wasn't worth it to anger a higher-up of the sect. As soon as the voice fell, an old man wearing a strange colorful robe stepped out from the void. The cultivators in the square cupped their fists and bowed. "Greetings to Immortal Venerable Yang Ju." Immortal Venerable Yang Ju? This person is the sect master of Yang Ju Dao sect. Yang Ju Dao sect's strength is ranked in the top 10 among the 81 Dao sects of Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. This person's strength is also above Ji Hong Venerable, and Xiao Zhangtian is his disciple. No wonder he's here personally. Su Fang was shocked. Immortal Venerable Yang Ju yelled coldly at Su Fang, "Arrogant Junior, let him go." Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect's top 10 disciples, and Immortal Venerable Yang Ju. "I, Su Fang, will endure this for now." Su Fang decisively let go of Xiao Zhangtian when he thought of this. However, as soon as he let go of Xiao Zhangtian, a divine aura suddenly descended and shrouded Su Fang. A strange and extremely powerful force of nature that carried the aura of death caused Su Fang's vitality to rapidly decline, as if he was suffering from a serious illness. With Su Fang's cultivation at the Seven Paths Saint Immortal Realm, it was naturally impossible for him to fall ill like a mortal. Instead, the divine aura released by Immortal Venerable Yang Ju contained a terrifying force that could devour and destroy the body's vitality. What a despicable Immortal Venerable Yang Ju! Su Fang didn't expect Immortal Venerable Yang Ju to attack him. He couldn't help but be shocked and furious. At this moment, the undead monarch's voice suddenly sounded from the heaven-burying underworld coffin. "Master, be careful. Yang Ju cultivates one of the Grand Tao of Death, the Grand Tao of Sickness." The Grand Tao of Sickness? Su Fang was astonished. There were many Grand Taos in the Great World. The Grand Tao of the Five Elements, the Tao of Monarch, the Tao of Pill, the Tao of Weapon, the Tao of Formation, the Tao of Origin Spirit, the Tao of Space, the Tao of Sword, the Tao of Heavenly Devil, and so on. It was Su Fang's first time hearing about the Grand Tao of Sickness. Everything in the world has birth, old age, sickness, and death. Naturally, there is a grand Tao of sickness. This is also a type of heavenly Tao. This immortal venerable Yangju is quite extraordinary. His grand Tao of sickness is strange and powerful. Once one is entangled by the power of sickness, it's very difficult to remove it. Their vitality and cultivation realm will continue to decline until they are completely exhausted. With Yangju's cultivation realm, he can create a space of sickness that can easily destroy a great world or even a small immortal domain. Such a strange ability. Undead monarch, could it be that you know this immortal venerable Yangju? This person is not from the same era as me. Although this person is extraordinary, he is still far from my strength back then. I cultivate the grand Tao of death, and have once reached the pinnacle of the grand Tao. The grand Tao of sickness is also a branch of the grand Tao of death. Therefore, I understand the grand Tao of sickness very well. PFFF. Su Fang's physical body was necrotic and pus was flowing out of his body. His vitality was also rapidly weakening. His true qi and primordial spirit were also flowing out. This scene was strange and incomparably astonishing. What a strange grand Tao of sickness! Su Fang hurriedly activated his dragon subduing true body and rapidly recovered his vitality. However, he discovered that immortal venerable Yangju's power of sickness not only had the astonishing ability to devour and destroy the physical body's vitality, it also had a strange ability that could cause one's providence to decline. Such a vicious and evil ability. My dragon subduing true body and black lotus true body have the ability to rapidly recover my vitality. My purple Qi Dharma spirit and Qi of monarch have also brought me supreme providence. It's not difficult to dissolve immortal venerable Yangju's power. Immortal venerable Yangju tried to kill me with his first move. I will definitely repay this enmity tenfold. Su Fang's eyes were burning with fury. He activated his dragon subduing true body, purple Qi Dharma spirit and Qi of monarch at the same time. Boom! The majestic aura of life within the dragon Qi rapidly suppressed the power of sickness that had seeped into his body. His vitality was also rapidly recovering. As for the purple Qi Dharma spirit and Qi of monarch, they swept through Su Fang's body and dispersed the declining power of providence. At this moment, Su Fang's body was suffused with a mysterious purple Qi. He possessed the aura of a supreme ruler. No disaster, sickness or misfortune could affect him. You're actually able to resist my divine might? Immortal venerable Yangju's gray eyes flashed with astonishment. Soon after, he sneered and formed another hand seal. He was about to crush Su Fang like an ant. =R download address, mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1535. The Taoist competition begins. Master, suppress him. Xiao Zhaotian shouted angrily. Feng Wuzi, who was heavily injured, was also pleased. Dao Xian Tian, Lu Yu Tian, and the other exceptional geniuses wore cold expressions too. Su Fang's eyes flashed with viciousness and decisiveness. The Xianming lightning seal appeared in his right hand. Now that things had come to this, he could only fight back without caring about the consequences. Buzz, the Tao runes of fate flashed in his mind and condensed into the figure of an old man. My cheap master is here. Su Fang was pleasantly surprised. He heaved a sigh of relief and put away the Xianming Thunder Archive. Yangju, you have a grudge with me. How dare you attack my disciple? How despicable! The Ji Hong Immortal Exalt's voice suddenly resounded in the sky above the square, and then a strand of the samsara energy of the four seasons rumbled over. Immortal Venerable Yangju's divine light changed and erupted with a terrifying aura of plague. It collided with Immortal Venerable Ji Hong's four seasons reincarnation force. The two giants of the Tianming Haotsang sect clashed in the air above the plaza. One unleashed the power of the four seasons cycle, while the other used the great Tao of sickness. Both were strange and powerful. The immortal Exalt Yang Ju's cultivation level was higher than the immortal Exalt Ji Hong's. However, the immortal Exalt Ji Hong's 4 seasons samsara power was the great Tao of time. It was clearly superior to the great Tao of sickness. Furthermore, he was currently in a state of rage and had unleashed his full power. For a time, immortal Exalt Yang Ju was actually suppressed by immortal Exalt Ji Hong to the point of retreating repeatedly. Ji Hong, you've gone mad. For the sake of a junior, you actually want to risk your life against me. Immortal Exalt Yang Ju shouted coldly. I've only accepted one disciple in my entire life. If you dare to make a move against him, I'll fight you to the death. Even if I can't kill you, I will still take your life essence. 4 seasons reincarnation seal. Seals were formed one after another, forming a space of 4 seasons around Venerable Yang Ju. Each cycle of 4 seasons would take away 1,000 years of Venerable Yang Ju's lifespan. After 10 breaths of time, Venerable Yang Ju had lost nearly 100,000 years of lifespan. The 4 seasons reincarnation seal was actually so powerful when executed by the Ji Hong Immortal Exalt with his full strength. However, the Ji Hong Immortal Exalt had also suffered a great loss. Su Fang could sense that his life force was rapidly declining. Using the 4 seasons reincarnation seal consumed his own life force at the same time. Master is actually willing to pay such a price for me. Su Fang's heart was in turmoil. From this moment on, he had a new master in his heart. He was no longer a cheap master. Enough. Yang Ju attacked a junior and was in the wrong first. Ji Hong, you have already taken away 100,000 years of his lifespan and you still aren't stopping. Aren't you afraid that the juniors will laugh at you? A majestic voice rang out, carrying the majesty of the heavenly Tao. As soon as the voice rang out, the divine might of a world enveloped the world. In an instant, it gave people the feeling that the space had turned into a huge cauldron. A shocking refining power covered the surroundings. The energy, the laws, and everyone in the space seemed to be refined. Even Immortal Exalt Ji Hong and Immortal Exalt Yang Ju were shackled and could not use their abilities, using the world as a cauldron to refine all things. Such a shocking ability was obviously created by a peerless Immortal Exalt. Moreover, it was a master refiner who had cultivated the great Tao of tools to the extreme. For the sake of Immortal Cauldron, I'll spare your life this time. Immortal Exalt Ji Hong snorted. Then, he swept out a Xian Guang and enveloped Su Fang and the others. Then, he directly passed through the formation. You lunatic! Immortal Exalt Yang Ju said resentfully. Then, he disappeared into the void. Before the Taoist competition begins, no one is allowed to fight. Those who disobey will be severely punished. Any grudges can be settled during the Taoist competition. Then, Grand Elder Immortal Cauldron's voice echoed in the square before gradually disappearing. Su Fang, Dao Xian Tian, will definitely kill you. Seeing that his sister had become a cripple, Dao Xian Tian's sharp saber chi spiraled around him with murderous intent. Lowly ant from the outer realms, it's best that you don't meet me during the Tao Disciple competition. Otherwise, I'll surely transform you into a pool of pus and blood. Xiao Zhaotian was also gnashing his teeth. His sneak attack on Su Fang failed and he almost lost his life. It was a great humiliation that he had never experienced before in his life. Su Fang will be a strong opponent for me during the Taoist competition. Let's end this banquet. Lu Yuetian waved his hand and the banquet ended unhappily. Deep behind the heavenly fate celestial land, in an independent world in the void, a purple-robed old man was sitting majestically on a mountain peak. His aura was profound and there was a mysterious great pregnant purple chi lingering around his body. He was actually a high-level Immortal Exalt who was only a step away from the peak. Moreover, he was a master refiner who had reached the pinnacle of this world. This person was the peerless expert who had stopped Immortal Exalt Ji Hong and Immortal Exalt Yang Ju. He was one of the Grand Elders of the Heavenly Fate Hao Tsang sect. Divine Cauldron Tao Venerable. Divine Cauldron Tao Venerable thought for a moment and struck out a seal. A nascent spirit shadow condensed from his Xian Guang. It was Heavenly Lord Xian Shu. Divine Cauldron Tao Venerable said majestically, Xian Shu, you told me before that Su Fang didn't have the innate ability to control magic treasures. Instead, it was because he had fused with a spirit treasure called the Purple Chi Dharma Spirit that gave him the supreme ability to control magic treasures? Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's nascent spirit shadow showed incomparable reverence and said respectfully, Tao Venerable, I learned from Huang Lingyao that she had once given a Qi vein to Long Tianeng. This Qi vein was the Purple Qi Dharma Spirit. Su Fang and Long Tianeng had a feud because of the Purple Qi Dharma Spirit. After Long Tianeng was killed by Su Fang, the Purple Qi Dharma Spirit naturally fell into Su Fang's hands. It's a pity that Huang Lingyao died in the training organized by the Dao sect. I can't find her to verify it. Very good. You have done a great service for me. I will help you recover and even improve. Remember, don't tell anyone about this. Yes, I will keep it a secret. Divine Cauldron Tao Venerable flipped his hand and Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's nascent spirit shadow disappeared. Purple Qi Dharma Spirit. I didn't expect that the supreme spirit treasure of Emperor Tianbao would fall into the hands of Su Fang. And according to the news from the Great Star Hall, the supreme divine weapon made by Emperor Tianbao himself is most likely in his hands. What right does a small ant have to have such a supreme spirit treasure and divine weapon? If I take the Purple Qi Dharma Spirit for myself and get that supreme divine weapon, I will definitely be able to reach the peak and even surpass the limit of the world and go to the end of the world. It's just that this kid has attracted the attention of many old guys in the sect. Ji Hong isn't a simple person either. It won't be easy to make a move on him now. Why don't we wait until after the Dao Disciple competition and then slowly plan for it? Divine Cauldron Tao Venerable's eyes shone brightly. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Thank you for saving me, Master. Once he returned to the main peak of Ji Hong Star, Su Fang thanked Divine Cauldron Tao Venerable with sincerity this time. Fortunately, I came back in time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Divine Cauldron Tao Venerable's heart palpitated. Disciple was two reckless equals, N_R. You suppressed the Dongyang clan on Ji Hong Star and attracted the attention of the sect's higher-up. Several peerless figures in the sect think highly of you. Yang Ju has a grudge with me and you almost killed his disciple, Xiao Zhaotian. That's why he wanted to kill you. If you meet Yang Ju in the future, try to use the rune talisman I gave you and activate the divine ability I sealed in the rune talisman. Then, run as far as you can. Yes. Master, how is the war between immortals and demons going? The demons clearly haven't recovered from the last great war and have no intention of engaging in an all-out war with the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect. It looks like this is just a test. When the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect's experts arrived, the demon army immediately retreated and didn't clash with them. However, there will be a war between immortals and demons sooner or later. Sighing, Divine Cauldron Tao Venerable continued, the calamity that will destroy the immortal Tao is coming. Even I can't protect myself. You must improve your strength as soon as possible. It'll be best if you can win the Taoist tournament. No one will dare touch you then with your status. You can also quickly grow into a peerless expert with the help of the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect's resources. Yes, I will remember. Su Fang nodded. In addition, the war between immortals and demons is imminent. Not only is the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect preparing for the worst and selecting Taoists, but other world-class forces and hidden experts also want to take advantage of this Taoist tournament to select peerless geniuses as their successors. This is a great opportunity. Your friends can also participate in the Taoist tournament and strive for opportunities. Thank you for the reminder, Master. Su Fang was surprised at first, then overjoyed. Li Haojie and the Lord of Five Poisons were both extraordinary figures. One was a savior and a demon catcher, while the other possessed the five poisons' true body. Unfortunately, they didn't obtain an inheritance suitable for them. It was also difficult to find a suitable training ground for them in the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. If he could obtain an opportunity in this Taoist tournament and become valued by a hidden expert, his future achievements would definitely be limitless. The Taoist tournament isn't just the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect, but also almost all the peerless geniuses in the great world. Although you're extraordinary, you've cultivated for too short a time and haven't settled down enough. Which of the top 10 disciples of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect and the countless peerless geniuses in the great world are mediocre? Therefore, this Taoist tournament is an opportunity for you, but it's also incomparably dangerous. You have to be careful. If you need any resources, just ask me. Thank you, Master. Su Fang's eyes flickered with vigor and fighting spirit. In the next few decades, Su Fang, Li Haojie, the Lord of Five Poisons, and the others focused all their energy on preparing for the Taoist tournament. Su Fang's cultivation base gradually reached the peak of the 7 paths of the Saint Immortal Realm and could break through at any time. At the advanced stage of the Saint Immortal Realm, the increase in cultivation base wasn't something that could be achieved by simply devouring spiritual items and resources. It also required continuous consolidation and comprehension. The 45th Yang Meridian was also on the verge of being born. This Yang Meridian was the key to stepping into the 5th transformation of the 9 Suns' 9 transformations. Not only did it require the accumulation of Yang Qi, but it also required an opportunity. The only thing Su Fang lacked now was a fortuitous encounter. Su Fang's other abilities had also undergone a transformation. The dragon-subduing true body, Fire Cloud Imperial Physique, Yellow Springs Blood Sea, Faceless Golden Dipper Body, and 4 Seasons Reincarnation Seal had also undergone a transformation. The day of the Taoist tournament had finally arrived. Everyone's attention =_our download address, mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1536. Whoosh, under the lead of the Ji Hong Celestial Sovereign. Qi Shao. Su Fang, Li Haojie, the Lord of Five Poisons, the monk, Feng Ling, Ling Yu, the bald cultivator, and the other geniuses of the World Palace, as well as the geniuses of the Ji Hong Dojo, arrived at a dojo mystic realm deep in the Destiny Celestial Land. Then, they passed through layers of formation barriers and entered the inner void of the mystic realm. In the inner void, there was a broken star that emitted an ancient and mysterious aura, as well as abundant natural spirit qi of heaven and earth. It seemed that one could get closer to the heavenly Tao of heaven and earth and the universe. Su Fang could also sense that the aura of the star didn't belong to the Great World, but to the Great World. Su Fang activated the World Seed to absorb the power of the world and natural spirit qi of heaven and earth. He was surprised to find that after the World Seed trembled for a while, it absorbed and circulated the power of the world almost 10 times faster than in the outside world. Moreover, whether it was cultivating the essence of heaven and earth, borrowing power from the stars, or comprehending the heavenly Tao, it was much faster than anywhere else in the great world. However, the power of the world's shackles here was much stronger than in the outer void. Although it wasn't as crazy as the treasure mirror space, it was still very shocking. Even the Ji Hong Celestial Sovereign was suppressed and couldn't pass through the void. He could only fly. As for the other Saint Immortal cultivators, they could only barely fly on their sword. Su Fang guessed, could it be that this star came from the myriad worlds? The Ji Hong Immortal Exalt said majestically, "This is the secret realm where the big shots and top 10 disciples of the heavenly mandate Bright Firmament sect cultivate. It was moved here from the myriad worlds by the heavenly mandate bright firmament sex founding ancestor with supreme ability. The heavenly mandate Houtsong sex peerless divine artifact, the heavenly mandate platform, is on this star. This year's competition will be held on the heavenly mandate platform. The heavenly mandate platform. The heavenly mandate platform of the World Palace was a replica of the heavenly mandate platform. And the heavenly mandate platform was a peerless divine artifact made by the heavenly treasure emperor himself. He didn't expect the competition to be held on the heavenly mandate platform. After flying on the star for 3 days, a vast plain appeared before his eyes, and in the air above the plain, there was an incomparably gigantic pyramid-shaped divine altar floating tens of thousands of meters above the ground. This divine altar was 1,000 miles in size. It was so tall that its peak couldn't be seen. It gave people the feeling that it pierced through the heavens. The divine altar emitted an ancient aura that formed a terrifying shackling force that enveloped the surroundings. When Su Fong and the others were 10,000 miles away from the high platform, they were affected by the shackles. It was difficult for them to fly and they had to walk on the ground like mortals. This is the Heaven's Will platform. It was created by the Heavenly Treasure Emperor in the ancient times, a peerless artifact. Su Fong, you used to be called Tianbao. You have the same name as Emperor Tianbao. The Ji Hong Immortal Exalt looked up at the Destiny platform with shock and reverence in his eyes. He has the same name as Emperor Tianbao? Compared to Emperor Tianbao, I'm just a nobody. Su Fong smiled embarrassedly. The purple Qi Dharma spirit in his body was roaring and surging. It was clearly very excited to see Emperor Tianbao's masterpiece. There are a total of 10,000 steps on the Destiny platform. Legend has it that when you reach the top of the Destiny platform, you will be recognized by the Heavenly Tao and be bestowed with the Heavenly Tao's protection. The Ji Hong Immortal Exalt exclaimed as he pointed at the top of the Destiny platform that was enveloped by a mysterious aura. Son of Destiny? Su Fong was surprised. At this moment, Luo spoke from the blood jade in his body. The Heavenly Tao is merciless. How can it bestow a great world's cultivator? Let's go. Activate your tokens and you won't be affected by the shackling force. Below the Destiny platform, the Tao Disciple competition is about to begin. The Ji Hong Immortal Exalt took out a token. After injecting magic power into it, it released a protective divine aura and flew into the sky. Su Fong and the others also took out the identity tokens that the Heavenly Fate Houtsong sect gave them before the competition. They activated the tokens, and the shackling force of the world around them disappeared by more than half. Then, they flew toward the Destiny platform with the Ji Hong Immortal Exalt. About 10 days later, Su Fong and the others finally arrived below the Destiny platform. Feeling the Destiny platform up close, the terrifying pressure was like the heavenly Tao that enveloped everyone. If it weren't for the protective divine aura of the tokens, some weaker cultivators would have been crushed on the spot. Here, not only was the body shackled, but even magic power, genuine qi, and primordial spirit were all suppressed. If I were to cultivate my physical body here, and use this pressure to temper my physical body, my full-circle physical body would definitely be able to reach a whole new level. Su Fong thought to himself. If not for the fact that there were people around him, he would have really wanted to give it a try. Below the Destiny platform, there were already close to 10,000 people gathered. Compared to the World Palace's Heaven Ascension Assembly, the number of people here was much smaller. However, those who were qualified to participate in the Taoist competition were all peerless geniuses. Most of them were disciples of the Heavenly Fate Houtsong sect, but there were also young cultivators from other great worlds and even the other 8 immortal realms. Su Fong used his perfect realm ability to sense these cultivators. Under the Destiny platform, his perfect realm ability was also greatly suppressed, and the range of his senses was less than 1/10 of the outside world. However, He could still sense everything within 1,000 miles. The lowest cultivation realm of these peerless geniuses was the Saint Immortal realm, and there were even monsters that had reached the Immortal Exalt realm. Su Fang was secretly shocked. The Taoist competition was indeed the greatest gathering of geniuses in the great world. It gathered all the peerless geniuses in the great world. Only the heavenly fate Haotsong sect, the number one force that led the immortal Tao, had such a huge attraction. These geniuses were all filled with excitement and anticipation. Who wouldn't want to become famous in such a grand event and shake the great world? Most people didn't even dare to dream of becoming a Taoist. If their performance was outstanding and they were valued by the higher-ups of the heavenly fate Haotsong sect, a great force or a hidden expert, then they would obtain a supreme opportunity and soar to the sky. Buzz, his perfect realm ability, sensed a familiar aura. Su Fang's perfect realm ability passed through 100 miles and landed on a cultivator. He couldn't help but be shocked. It's him, Lang Liyun. That cultivator was a jade-faced man in his 30s. He was an old acquaintance of Su Fang, Lang Liyun from the 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea. Lang Liyun was extremely daring and shameless. He had once pestered Fairy Xuanxin and was taught a lesson by Su Fang. Therefore, Su Fang had a deep impression of him. He didn't expect to meet him in the Taoist competition. The 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea was many great worlds away from the heavenly fate Haotsong sect. Lang Liyun had obviously spent a lot of effort to rush here. It was obvious that his sect or clan valued him greatly. Lang Liyun was an extraordinary person. He had reached the Saint Immortal realm and was barely qualified to participate in the Taoist competition. However, his foundation seemed weak. It was obvious that he had used pills, resources, or other special methods to forcefully reach the Saint Immortal realm. His future achievements would be limited. There were more than 10 cultivators with Lang Liyun. They had the same great world aura as Lang Liyun. They were obviously from the 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea. Among them, a young man wearing a Taoist robe with thunder patterns attracted Su Fang's attention. This person's aura contained a shocking thunder technique aura. It was obvious that he was a peerless genius who cultivated thunder technique. His cultivation had reached the Saint Immortal realm and his strength was extraordinary. Su Fang sensed an extremely familiar aura from this person. Su Fang also vaguely felt that he had seen this person before. However, he couldn't remember where he had seen this person before. Su Fang activated the life-shrinking technique to sense the aura of destiny of the cultivator in the thunder robe. Buzz, the Tao rune of destiny, formed a figure in the depths of his divine aperture. It was the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor. This person is related to the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor? The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor is a clone of the Master of Thunder Night Island in the 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea. This person should be a disciple or a relative of the Master of Thunder Night Island. Su Fang made a guess and ignored this person. He continued to sense the other geniuses. Su Fang was surprised to find that there were cultivators from the Demon Tao, Evil Tao, and even Demon Tao among the geniuses. How important is the Taoist competition? Why are there cultivators from the Demon Tao, Evil Tao, and Demon Tao here? Su Fang was shocked. After thinking about it, Su Fang understood. It's impossible that the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect didn't discover their identities. They must be under some kind of pressure and had no choice but to let them participate in the Taoist competition. Su Fang ignored everything else and looked up at the top of the Heaven's Mandate platform that pierced the clouds. I must stand at the top of the Heaven's Mandate platform in this Taoist competition. I don't care about the Taoist or the Child of Destiny. I just want to get the Blood Jade. The top 10 disciples of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. If you think that I, Su Fang, am a weakling or an ant, then I, Su Fang, will trample all of you under my feet. Immortal Supremacy Yangju, when I become a Taoist, I will also suppress you one day. Su Fang's eyes flashed with a bright light. There were still 3 days before the Taoist competition officially began. He closed his eyes and sat cross-legged on the ground. 3 days later, Buzz the Heaven's secret life shrinking technique and the perfection stage ability caused a huge commotion. Su Fang suddenly opened his eyes and looked into the distance. His eyes were shining with a terrifying light, and his face was filled with disbelief and surprise. Thousands of Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect higher-ups and the top 10 disciples of the Taoist competition flew toward the Heaven's Mandate platform. There were peerless cultivators beside the sect leaders. The weakest among them was at the level of immortal supremacy Ji Hong. They were obviously peerless cultivators from other forces or reclusive secluded cultivators. Of course, it wasn't these people who caused Su Fang's strong reaction. It was a woman in white with a white jade mask on her face and a black shawl on her shoulders. She had a pair of cold eyes. Fairy Xuanxin. That's right, Su Fang could sense the aura on her and his, as well as the aura of the Thunder Punishment clone. This female cultivator was Fairy Xuanxin, who had been separated from Su Fang for many years and was taken away by Lady Frozen Dream. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Fairy Xuanxin also came to participate in the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong Sect's Taoist competition and met Su Fang here. Swish. Xian Xian Fairy also sensed something. She fixed her eyes and looked over. Separated by a great distance, their eyes met. Their gazes intertwined and never separated again. =R download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 1537. I want to reach the peak for you. Fairy Xuanxin had been forcefully taken away by Lady Frozen Dream, and this had always been a thorn in Su Fang's heart. Su Fang had once made an agreement with Lady Frozen Dream that he would definitely come and take Fairy Xuanxin away within 50,000 years. He had thought that he would not be able to see Fairy Xuanxin again for several tens of thousands of years. He had never imagined that they would meet again in the Tao Disciple competition several hundred years later. Su Fang and Fairy Xuanxin looked at each other from afar. Their eyes were filled with longing and concern. Lady Frozen Dream, who was beside Fairy Xuanxin, noticed the abnormality. When she saw Su Fang, her eyes immediately froze. She sent a message to Fairy Xuanxin. Xuanxin, don't be rude in front of the experts and geniuses of the Heaven's Mandate Bright Heavens sect and the outside world. Only then did Fairy Xuanxin withdraw her gaze. When she nodded, there was no longer a trace of coldness in her eyes. Instead, they were filled with sweetness and tenderness. It was as if she was satisfied to be able to take a look at Su Fang. A black-robed young man following behind Fairy Xuanxin saw Su Fang's expression. His deep eyes flashed with a dark light, and he asked Lady Frozen Dream, Senior, what is the relationship between Xuanxin and this person? Lady Frozen Dream was startled. She immediately replied, Mo Wutian. This person is Fairy Xuanxin's partner. His name is Su Fang. This black-robed young man was the peerless genius ranked second among the 10 great disciples of the Heaven's Mandate Bright Heavens sect, Mo Wutian. The 10 great disciples of the Heaven's Mandate Bright Heavens sect were all peerless. The top 3 were all extremely talented. Even the big shots of the Heaven's Mandate Bright Heavens sect felt inferior. Lu Yuetian was the most shrewd and scheming. Mo Wutian was wild and unrestrained. His actions were lawless, and his strength was unfathomable. Dao Hengtian, ranked first, was even more mysterious. Su Fang? He seemed to have some impression of him. Now that he thought about it, he seemed to have heard someone say that he was a genius who had recently risen in the sect. However, he was still an ant. What qualifications does such a person have to be Xuanxin's companion? Mo Wutian's lips curled into an unruly arc. Fairy Frozen Dream said in surprise. Su Fang joined the Heaven's Mandate Bright Azure sect? This person is also extraordinary. However, just as you said, Xuanxin is a peerless woman. What qualifications does he have to be Xuanxin's Taoist companion? Only you, Mo Wu Tian, are worthy of Xuanxin. However, Xuanxin is deeply in love with him, so it's hard for him to give up. It doesn't matter. After killing this ant, Xuanxin will naturally not miss him anymore. Mo Wu Tian's primordial spirit's voice became cold. His tone was as if Su Fang was nothing. Su Fang's entire attention was focused on Fairy Xuanxin. How could he have known that such a powerful enemy would appear out of nowhere? Su Fang was surprised and shocked when he swept his perfect vision over Fairy Xuanxin's body. In just a few hundred years, Fairy Xuanxin had already reached the 3 Dao Saint immortal realm. Such an achievement naturally couldn't be compared to the 10 great disciples of the Heaven's Mandate Bright Azure sect. However, how many tens of thousands of years had she cultivated? Fairy Xuanxin's cultivation time was less than 100,000 years. If she had cultivated for the same amount of time as the 10 great disciples, she would absolutely suppress most people. Moreover, Fairy Xuanxin's aura had become cold and vast, carrying with it a sense of holiness and nobility. With his perfect vision, he could see an ice phoenix phantom hovering in her aura. Xuanxin is by Frost Dream's side. She cultivates the profound dragon ice heart art, and her cultivation has advanced by leaps and bounds. Her true ice phoenix body is almost mature. It seems that Fairy Frozen Dream has spent a lot of effort on her. Su Fang was shocked but also incomparably pleased. Seeing Fairy Frozen Dream reprimand Xuanxin, Su Fang coldly snorted in his heart. Fairy Frozen Dream, you've poured so much effort into Xuanxin because you have other plans. I don't need 100,000 years. 50,000 years is far too long. It won't be long before I bring Fairy Xuanxin to my side. If you dare to forcefully stop me, I, Su Fang, will suppress you. Empyrean Zenith Swan suddenly asked with his primordial spirit. The woman by Fairy Frozen Dream's side has a karmic connection with you that is difficult to unravel. Could she be related to you in some way? The cultivators of the Heaven's Mandate Bright Azure sect cultivated the transcendent heavenly Tao. As for Empyrean Zenith Swan, he cultivated the samsara of time's supernatural ability and was extremely sensitive to karma. It was similar to the life shrinking technique, so it wasn't strange for him to be able to see through the karmic connection between Su Fang and Fairy Xuanxin. She's my Tao companion and was forcefully taken in as a disciple by Fairy Frozen Dream. Su Fang replied, his primordial spirit voice filled with resentment. So that's how it is. Although Fairy Frozen Dream is only a mid-stage immortal venerable and seems to be at the same cultivation level as your master, her origins are actually mysterious. She seems to be connected to the myriad worlds of the heavens. Before you have enough strength, don't make an enemy out of her. The mysterious Empyrean Zenith Swan seemed to be very afraid of Fairy Frozen Dream. This caused Su Fang to become vigilant towards Fairy Frozen Dream. When Fairy Xuanxin arrived at the Heaven's Mandate platform, Su Fang, Fairy Xuanxin floated out and arrived in front of Su Fang. Fairy Frozen Dream coldly shouted, Xuanxin, you dare to disobey your master's orders? Empyrean Zenith Swan chuckled and said, Frost Dream, if you forcefully separate them, wouldn't that be going against the heavens? My disciple and your disciple are a match made in heaven. How can you bear to separate them? Su Fang is your disciple? Fairy Frozen Dream's eyes revealed astonishment. After a snort, she no longer stopped Xuanxin. Under everyone's gaze, Fairy Xuanxin directly threw herself into Su Fang's embrace. In an instant, the two of them forgot about the existence of other people and also forgot about the shackles of the world. They only wanted to fuse with each other, even if the heavens fell and the earth cracked and the world was destroyed. The two's actions attracted the attention of countless people. It's actually them. In just a little over 1,000 years, they've actually grown to such a level. Lang Li Yun looked at Su Fang and Fairy Xuanxin. The two's cultivation realm had already reached a level that he could only look up to. One could imagine the shock and disappointment in his heart. Most people were subdued by Fairy Xuanxin's holy and noble temperament. As for Su Fang, although her 7 Dao Saint immortal realm cultivation was extraordinary, there was nothing outstanding about her in the Heaven's Fate platform where so many geniuses gathered. It made people jealous, thinking that she was a toad that ate swan meat, a flower that was stuck in cow dung. As for Mo Wutian, a cold light flashed in his eyes, revealing jealousy and hatred. Su Fang secretly communicated with Fairy Xuanxin. It turned out that Fairy Xuanxin was brought to a world of ice to cultivate by Fairy Frozen Dream. Not only did she give her the complete profound dragon Iceheart art, she also gave her countless spiritual items and resources for her to cultivate. Fairy Frozen Dream's intentions couldn't be described as bad. It was no wonder that Fairy Xuanxin was able to mature her Ice Phoenix true body in such a short period of time. Her cultivation realm also increased at an unbelievable speed. This time, Fairy Frozen Dream brought Xuanxin to the Heaven's Fate Bright Azure sect to participate in the Dao Disciple competition so that she could gain experience. At the same time, Su Fang also contacted the Thunder Punishment Doppelganger. Over the years, the Thunder Punishment Doppelganger had cultivated in the Thunder Punishment Cauldron and had undergone a transformation. However, compared to the main body, the gap was still not small. Fairy Xuanxin held Su Fang's hand, and then the Thunder Punishment Doppelganger entered Su Fang's body. The Thunder Punishment Doppelganger's body shattered and fused with Su Fang's main body. In this way, although the Thunder Punishment Doppelganger's lightning ability didn't increase, the main body's cultivation realm and body had reached perfection. This caused the Thunder Punishment Doppelganger's strength to transform by more than 10 times, and its ability to control the Thunder Punishment Cauldron also became stronger. After fusing with part of the main body's ability, Su Fang separated the Thunder Punishment Doppelganger and left it beside Fairy Xuanxin. At the same time, Su Fang also communicated with the Black Hawk Demon Emperor, who was cultivating in the inner world of the Thunder Punishment Cauldron. Over the years, this demon had been by Xuanxin's side. Not only was there no danger, but Su Fang had also given it a large number of pills and resources, and its strength had also transformed a lot. Su Fang, you only care about being lovey-dovey with your Dao companion, but you actually ignored an old friend like me? A familiar voice sounded. It was Zhang Ruoyun. It turned out that she had also followed Ni Xia Immortal Venerable to participate in the Dao Disciple competition. Seeing Su Fang and Fairy Xuanxin holding hands, and even their auras were fused as one, Zhang Ruoyun's deep eyes flashed with a very obscure look of disappointment. It was because of Ni Xia Immortal Venerable's method that Granny Frozen Dream went to the desolate immortal domain where Su Fang was and forcibly took Fairy Xuanxin away. However, although Granny Frozen Dream had separated the two, it seemed that there was no gap between the two because of the barrier of time and distance. Instead, they had become even more harmonious. Meeting Zhang Ruoyun again, Su Fang was also very happy. Su Fang, this Zhang Ruoyun seems to have some feelings for you. Fairy Xuanxin secretly sent a message with her soul. A woman's senses were indeed sharp and a little frightening. I had some friendship with her when we were in the small world, but there was never any romantic feelings between us. Xuanxin, don't make wild guesses. Su Fang was startled and decisively denied it. If he did not deny it, it would cause a lot of trouble. The upper echelons of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect, as well as the powerhouses from the 8 great worlds and hidden powerhouses, flew into the sky. The terrifying shackles of the Heavenly Mandate stage were still very shocking for these peerless immortal venerables, but they could still fly. After a powerhouse of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect formed a seal, he used his ability to create a space with pavilions, terraces, and pavilions. It was like a miracle and served as the viewing platform for many powerhouses. As the powerhouses entered, they could clearly see every movement on the heavenly mandate stage. The battle of the Tao disciples was about to begin. Su Fang, Master will be waiting for your performance on the heavenly mandate stage. Ji Hong Immortal Venerable nodded and smiled at Su Fang, and then flew into the sky to the viewing platform. Before Granny Frozen Dream left, she sent a disdainful and cold voice to Su Fang. Su Fang, you can be considered a peerless genius in the desolate immortal domain. However, in the entire great world, you are nothing. In this battle of the Tao disciples, I will let you know how many geniuses there are in the great world. You are not qualified to be Xuanxin's partner. Su Fang smiled embarrassedly and looked at the top of the heavenly mandate stage. Xuanxin, I will climb to the top of the heavenly mandate stage for you. At that time, I wonder what kind of expression Granny Frozen Dream will have? A domineering and lofty feeling spontaneously arose with Su Fang's faint voice. =R download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1538. Destiny Saint, who else but me? Xuanxin smiled proudly. If there was a peerless genius in the great world who could stand at the top of the destiny stage, who else could it be but her Tao partner? Feng Ling said, Su Fang, I lost to you at the World Palace's Heavenly Ascension Conference. Let's compete again this time. Li Haojie smiled. It's best if you don't compete with him. You'll only be looking for trouble. Your heart is higher than the sky, but your life is thinner than paper. A disdainful voice came from the side. It was Mo Wutian. Many nearby peerless geniuses also snorted. Dao Xiantian and Xiao Zhaotian looked at Su Fang with murderous intent. Not only did they want to suppress Su Fang on the destiny stage, but they also wanted to kill him during the battle. Everyone! A majestic voice came from the sky. I am Dao Master Han Su, and I'm in charge of this Dao disciple competition. I will now repeat the rules. Listen carefully. All the peerless geniuses below the destiny stage knew the rules of the Dao disciple competition, but they all pricked up their ears in fear of missing a word. The competition is divided into 3 rounds. The first round is an elimination round, and the method is very simple. After the competition begins, everyone will receive 10 destiny seeds. Only by activating the destiny seed, and causing it to grow into your own destiny tree and bring you onto the destiny platform will you be qualified to participate in the competition. The time limit for the elimination round is 1 month. If you can't reach the destiny stage after 1 month, you will be eliminated. Destiny Seed. It was a crystal formed from the destiny stage's origin aura. It contained the natural power and laws of the world. It was extremely wondrous. The Destiny Seed was actually a test of the contestant's talent, potential, and overall strength. The contestant had to use their spiritual power, true Qi, origin spirit, life force, and so on to fuse with the Destiny Seed and make it sprout into a destiny tree to send the contestant to the destiny stage. The stronger the contestant was in all aspects, the stronger the tree of destiny formed by the seed would be. If one seed was unable to help a participant reach the Heavens Will platform, they could continue to push for a second seed, a third seed. If all the way until the 10th seed was unable to reach the Heavens Will platform, it meant that they had lost the opportunity to continue to the next round of the competition. Holy Man Han Su continued, from the ground to the Heavens Will stage, there is a distance of 10,000 feet. The more powerful one is, the less the Heavens Will seed will be consumed. In the history of the Heavens Fate platform, the record was 3 seeds. The Taoist competition this time has gathered all the peerless geniuses of the large world, and I hope someone can break this record. The eyes of the exceptional geniuses below flickered. They were eager to try. Sweeping his gaze across the crowd, Dao Xingtian sneered with disdain. Apart from the top 10 disciples of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect, how many can reach the Heavenly Mandate stage with less than 5 seeds? Xiao Zhaotian also snorted. The 10 of us have all cultivated in the Heaven's Fate stage for a long time and have fused with the Heaven's Fate stage's origin energy. Even we don't dare to say that we can break the record, and these so-called exceptional geniuses want to break the record? Lu Yu Tian laughed. I'm afraid only Dao Hengtian can break the record. Only he has a 10% chance of reaching the top of the Heaven's Will stage and become the child of Heaven's Will. Strange, why don't I see Dao Hengtian? Mo Wutian said gloomily. Dao Hengtian has always been elusive. When the Taoist competition starts, he will naturally appear. Holy Man Han Su's majestic voice sounded again. From the moment you reach the Heaven's Will stage, you can directly enter the second round equals N_1. There are a total of 10,000 steps in the Heaven's Will stage. Each step is actually a trial space created by a formation. According to the cultivation level of the contestant, the opponents they will face and their strength will be different. Moreover, after passing the trial, you will receive great benefits. As for what the benefits are, I won't say too much. When you reach the 9,999th step, it will be the competition for the ranking of the contestants, which is also the finals of the Taoist competition. The final winner will be the Taoist of my Heaven's Will Haotsong sect. If you can break through the shackles of the Heaven's Will stage and take the final step to reach the top of the Heaven's Will stage, you will receive the recognition of the Heavenly Tao and receive the blessing of the Heavenly Tao. You will become the child of Heaven's Will that will receive the protection of the Heavenly Tao. Now, I announce that in this Taoist competition, just as Holy Man Han Su was about to announce the start of the competition, suddenly from the other end of the plains, a domineering voice sounded. If I don't participate in the Taoist competition of the Heaven's Will Haotsong sect, who can reach the top? Swoosh, swoosh. Everyone looked into the distance. About 10 breaths later, 4 figures appeared in everyone's sight. The leading purple-robed elder was the great elder of the Heaven's Will Haotsong sect, Holy Man Shin Lu. Behind him were 3 young cultivators. One of them was a cultivator in a simple blue robe. His eyes were closed as he silently followed behind Holy Man Shin Lu. He looked like a blind man. However, this person's aura was empty. His tightly closed eyes gave people the feeling that they were eternally closed. Once they opened, even the Heavenly Tao would be moved. Lu Yuetian, Dao Xiantian, and the other disciples of the Heaven's Will Haotsong sect looked at this person with reverence and even a trace of fear. It was the number 1 disciple of the Heaven's Will Haotsong sect, Dao Hengtian. This person is Dao Hengtian? No wonder he is the number 1 disciple of the Heaven's Will Haotsong sect. What a terrifying aura! He will be a strong opponent for me to compete for the position of Taoist. Su Fang sensed Dao Hengtian's aura. Although it was not as strong as Peerless Immortal Venerables like the Ji Hong Immortal Venerables and the Qi Sword Immortal Venerables, the Heavenly Secret Life Shrinking Technique caused a disturbance. It seemed to be reminding Su Fang that this person was extremely terrifying. Su Fang was shocked and felt a heavy pressure on his shoulders. Who are the 2 young cultivators beside Dao Hengtian? Then, Su Fang used his great perfection stage ability to sense the other 2 people. His eyes instantly shot out a terrifying light. There were 2 other young cultivators. One of them was dressed in a black robe. He was not very handsome, but he exuded a strange charm. It was as if he could make any woman fall in love with him with just one look. This person's aura was as illusory as Dao Hengtian, but Su Fang sensed a vast demonic aura from him. This black-robed man was a cultivator of the demon race. The other cultivator was dressed in a green Taoist robe with cloud patterns. He was handsome, but his face was pale and there was a deathly stillness in his eyes. This cultivator was a resurrected powerhouse equals N_1. What shocked Su Fang the most was that apart from the extremely dense aura of death on this revived expert, there was actually a trace of the same origin aura as the Xianming lightning scroll. How could Su Fang not be shocked when a demon and a resurrected powerhouse appeared at the Heavens Will Haotsong sect Taoist competition together with the sect's great elder and #1 disciple? Tao Master Han Su's shocked voice came from above the Heavens Will platform. Shunlu, why did you bring them here? How dare a demon and a resurrected cultivator enter the Heavens Will platform of the Heavens Will Haotsong sect so openly? There was an uproar below the Heavens Will platform. Even the immortal venerables in the viewing platform were shocked. This is an order from the sect master himself. The Underworld Flame Saint and the young master of the Qing Yun Celestial sect are allowed to participate in this competition. The Underworld Flame Saint is the #1 genius of the demon world and the saint of the demon race. The Qing Yun Celestial sect was the leader of the immortal Tao and presided over the great war of the immortals and demons. Later on, they were annihilated in the war together with the demon race. The young master was resurrected with the help of the changes in heaven and earth. With the participation of these two peerless geniuses, the competition can be considered a true grand event of the great world. The faint voice of the divine cauldron Holy Master caused another round of exclamations. The saint of the demon race, and the young master of the Qing Yun Celestial sect. The Xianming Thunder Archive was the Qing Yun Celestial sect's treasure back in the day. No wonder I can sense the same origin energy from him. Su Fang suddenly realized. However, Su Fang was puzzled that the Heavens Will Haotsong sect would allow these two mortal enemies of the immortal Tao to participate in the competition. Luo said coldly from the blood jade in the depths of his body. The world is changing and the immortal Tao is facing destruction. The demon race and the resurrected powerhouse are growing stronger by the day. It's not strange that the Heavens Will Haotsong sect would secretly compromise with the demon race and the resurrected powerhouse in order to protect their position as the #1 sect of the immortal Tao. The demon race and the resurrected powerhouse obviously want to use this competition to strike a blow to the morale of the immortal Tao. Previously, the brutal Demon Venerable said that the Heavens Will Haotsong sect had reached an agreement with the demon race to sacrifice a dozen immortal domains in exchange for the safety of the central immortal domain. Now it seems that the brutal Demon Venerable's words were most likely true. What a Heavens Will Haotsong sect! Such a sect can actually lead the immortal Tao? A surge of anger uncontrollably surged in Su Fang's heart. Luo continued. Do you think the Heavens Will Haotsong sect will be like the Qing Yun Celestial sect in the past, willing to perish together with the demon race in order to resist? You're still very weak right now. You're not strong enough to interfere in the immortal demon war. Ignore him for now. With the participation of the demon race's Saint Ming Yen and the young master of the Qing Yun Celestial sect, your chances of taking first place in this competition are very slim. The blood jade contains an astonishing amount of life energy. The demon race and the resurrected cultivator are very sensitive to life energy. If they discover the blood jade among the rewards, they won't let it go easily. It's not like I haven't killed a demon venerable before. As for the resurrected powerhouse, there's a former peak powerhouse of a great world in the heaven-shrouding nether coffin. It's just the demon race's Saint Ming and the young master of the Qing Yun Celestial sect. Why would I, Su Fang, be afraid of them? Not only will I take the blood jade, but I will also trample the demon race's Saint Ming and the young master of the Qing Yun Celestial sect under my feet. Su Fang's voice was domineering. The demon race's Saint Ming Yan's eyes flashed with a sinister demonic light. He swept his gaze across the crowd of immortal Tao geniuses. Ming Yan sneered and said disdainfully, "The heavens are about to die. The great world will become the territory of the demon realm. The heavenly Tao's fortune will tilt toward the demon race. Who else can be the child of destiny other than me? I'm only participating in the Tao disciple competition this time because I want to play with the so-called son of destiny. I won't really become the heavenly fate bright firmament sect's Tao disciple, so why are you all so panicked? Ming Yan's arrogant and domineering aura rose to the sky as he spoke. _our download address. Mobile reading, book review. Chapter 1539. The Seed of Destiny. The words of the demon Holy Sun, Ming Yan, infuriated the peerless geniuses of the immortal Tao. Qi Shao, Su Feng, Fairy Xuanxin, Li Haojie, the Lord of Five Poisons, and the geniuses of Tianxia Palace and Jihong Dojo clenched their fists in anger and battle intent. Even the cowardly monk Shang De was gnashing his teeth in anger. The eyes of the top 10 disciples of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect also glinted sharply. Dao Hengtian, whose eyes had been closed all this time, twitched his eyelids. He was clearly furious. These peerless geniuses were participating in the battle of the Tao disciples for fame and status. However, with the participation of the demon race and the resurrected powerhouse, the battle of the Tao disciples changed completely. If the demon race or the resurrected powerhouse really took first place, or even received the recognition of the heavenly Tao and became the child of destiny, then not only the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect but the entire immortal Tao would lose face, and it would be a heavy blow to their morale. Many of the geniuses of the immortal Tao had a drastic change of heart. The upcoming competition was no longer about fighting for fame and status, but about protecting the honor of the entire immortal Tao and their race. Let the battle of the Tao disciples begin. Tao Master Han Su's voice turned cold. He was clearly dissatisfied with the sect's decision. However, the sect's rules were strict, and he had no choice but to abide by them and let the demon Holy Sun and the young master of the Azure Cloud sect participate in the competition. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. As soon as Tao Master Han Su finished speaking, colorful patterns of Tao blossomed from the Destiny platform. They quickly condensed into seeds the size of a baby's fist, and fell off the platform like rain. There were 10 seeds in front of each person, no more, no less. These are the Destiny seeds? Su Feng put away the 9 Destiny seeds, leaving only one behind, and then used his great perfection ability to sense it. There was a seal on the surface of the Destiny seed, and it wasn't very strong. Inside the seed, however, was boundless natural energy and the heavenly Tao. Each seed contained a condensed world that hadn't yet bloomed. The Heavenly Fate platform is indeed a divine artifact created by the Heavenly Treasure Emperor. When Emperor Tianbao created the Heaven's Will platform, he must have understood the Tao of blacksmithing. That's why the seed of the Heaven's Will platform is like my world seed. Heaven's Mandate Seed, the Heaven's Mandate Seed, able to know a cultivator's Heaven's Mandate. After Su Feng exclaimed in surprise, he grabbed the Seed of Destiny and slowly injected his mana, Qi, primordial spirit, and life force into the Seed of Destiny. Ka. After obtaining Su Feng's power, the natural power and heavenly Tao laws within the Destiny seed began to slowly circulate. Like a real seed sprouting, it broke through the outer seal from the inside and grew a tender sprout. With the continuous infusion of power, the sprout grew at an unbelievable speed, quickly turning into a sapling formed from the power of nature and the laws of the heavens. The whole process was clearly sensed by Su Feng with his great perfection ability. Then, he verified it with the Heavenly Treasure Emperor's great Tao of blacksmithing, causing Su Feng to gradually have a more intuitive and profound understanding of his own world's cultivation. This unexpected gain was completely unexpected by Su Feng, and he couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. Su Feng hit the sapling on the ground, then stepped on the top of the sapling. After forming a seal, he transformed his mana, Qi, primordial spirit, and life force into a Xian Guang that enveloped the sapling below him. As if it had received enough nutrients, the sapling grew quickly. In half an hour, it had grown to more than 10 feet tall. As Su Feng urged the growth of the Tree of Destiny while comprehending the process of the Tree of Destiny's growth, his speed wasn't very fast. Compared to all the other contestants, he could only be considered below average. Not far away, Xuanxin's tree of destiny grew several times faster than Su Fang's. It was already 50 to 60 feet tall, and because she cultivated the Xianlong Ice Heart mantra and the true body of the Ice Phoenix, her tree of destiny was sparkling and translucent, as if it was carved from ice and jade. It exuded a sacred and pure aura, appearing otherworldly and extremely different from the others. Li Haojie's and the Lord of Five Poisons trees of destiny not only grew quickly, but were also very strange. Li Haojie's tree of destiny clearly had the aura of a savior, while the Lord of Five Poisons tree of destiny was completely a poisonous tree. It was terrifying. Shangda's tree of destiny was actually a Bodhi tree, emitting a faint Buddhist light. He sat cross-legged on the Bodhi tree, looking solemn and dignified. He had the demeanor of a Buddhist cultivator. Feng Ling, Ling Yu, the bald cultivator and the other cultivators from World Palace also had outstanding performances. Especially Feng Ling, who stood on his tree of destiny and soared straight up. He wasn't any weaker than the bottom 10 disciples of Destiny Haotsong sect. Mo Wutian, Lu Yuetian, Dao Xiantian and the other top 10 disciples of Destiny Haotsong sect had fused with the original aura of the Destiny platform. Their strength and talent were extremely shocking. The tree of destiny beneath their feet carried them upwards, breaking through the shackles of the Destiny platform. They were unstoppable, like the sun rising into the sky. All of them were calm and had proud smiles on their faces. But compared to Dao Hengtian, Ming Yan, and the young master of the Azure Cloud sect, the others were overshadowed. 100 feet, 200 feet, 500 feet. When most of the geniuses' trees of destiny were less than 10 feet tall, these three's trees of destiny were already 100 feet tall. They were also thicker and more luxuriant than the other trees of destiny. The aura of their trees of destiny were also different. Dao Hengtian's tree of destiny carried the aura of the heavenly Dao. Ming Yan's tree of destiny was a dark demonic tree. The young master of the Azure Cloud sect's tree of destiny emitted a dense death chi. The three of them flew side by side, leaving the others far behind. They were like three kings looking down on the world, standing proudly between heaven and earth. Ming Yan and the young master of the Azure Cloud sect are actually on par with Dao Hengtian. Even if Dao Hengtian wins, the immortal Dao will lose face this time and their morale will be damaged. Losing face is a small matter. The younger generation of the immortal Dao is inferior to the demon race. This is a big deal. I really hope that the immortal Dao will have more geniuses like Dao Hengtian. This is just the beginning. There's no need to worry. Even if the record of the Seed of Life is broken by the demon race or the resurrected cultivators, it doesn't mean anything. The most important thing is the battle on the Destiny stage. The peerless experts of the immortal Dao were all deeply worried as they watched the scene unfold from the viewing platform high up in the sky. Chi Sword Immortal Venerable sneered when he saw Su Fang. Then he said with disdain, "Ji Hong, isn't this disciple of yours very extraordinary? He even alerted the peerless Dao masters of the sect. How come he's reduced to the same level as the ordinary geniuses?" Frozen Dream also said coldly, "A cultivator from the desolate immortal realm can't go on a grand stage. Geniuses aren't created by flattery, but by strength. Like master, like disciple." Immortal Venerable Yang Ju also sneered. When he first saw Su Fang below the Heaven's Will stage, he was shocked. That time at the Heavenly Golden Palace, he used the great Tao of illness to shackle Su Fang. Even an immortal venerable expert would need several tens of thousands of years to recover. He didn't expect that not only was Su Fang fine, but his life force had become even more vigorous. Seeing Su Fang's performance now, Immortal Venerable Yang Ju was relieved. Ji Hong Immortal Venerable had seen Su Fang's performance in the Star River in the World Palace. He was naturally not worried about Su Fang. He sneered at the three. "Do you know what it means to be silent for 3 years and then amaze the world with a single brilliant feat?" Immortal Venerable Yang Ju snorted. I'm afraid he'll always be a weak chicken that won't make a sound for the rest of his life. Bright Sky City. The grand scene of the Tao Disciple competition was condensed into a vivid image by the Destiny Bright Sky sect. It was displayed in the sky above the central region of Bright Sky City. The square in the central region of Sky City, that could hold tens of millions of people, was already crowded. Even in the sky, there were countless cultivators floating in the air, watching the image. Before the competition started, people were discussing and guessing who would be the Tao disciple in this Tao disciple competition and who would be recognized by the heavenly Tao as the child of destiny. Among those sects and clans, there were peerless geniuses who were lucky enough to participate in the Tao disciple competition. Their elders, relatives, and friends were all very nervous. They were looking forward to a shocking performance. They didn't dare to think about the Tao disciple position, but as long as they performed well, they would be able to win glory for their sects and clans. When the demon race's Saint Ming Yen and the Green Cloud Immortal sect's young master appeared, Ming Yen spoke arrogantly and looked down on the immortal Tao. Those who witnessed this scene were all furious. Ming Yen and the Green Cloud Immortal sect's young master's performance made the square silent. Everyone's heart was heavy as they placed all their hopes on Dao Hengtian. The immortal Tao cultivators have lost all faith this time. In the sky above Haotian City, a purple-robed cultivator stood majestically. Looking at the giant image above Sky City, the purple-robed cultivator sneered with disdain. With Su Fong here, the demon race and the resurrected cultivators won't have the chance to be arrogant. That Dao Hengtian is nothing compared to them. A man in green beside the purple-robed cultivator said proudly. He was the Green Feather Emperor, or more accurately, the Green Feather Demon Emperor. The demon race's Saint Ming Yen is no ordinary demon race genius. He comes from the demon world, and no one in the greater world can surpass him. The Su Fong you speak of is from a lesser world and has only cultivated for a few years. How can he compare to Ming Yen? The heavenly mandate Haotsong sect tolerated the demon race and was slapped in the face by the demon race and the resurrected cultivators. They only have themselves to blame. We originally planned to join forces with the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect to fight against the demon race and the resurrected cultivators. Looks like this is a wasted trip. The immortal Tao is hopeless. The demon realm can only rely on themselves if they want to survive this catastrophe. The purple-robed cultivators sneered at the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. As for Su Fong, he was even more dismissive. The green-feathered demon emperor looked at the image in the distance and thought to himself, "Kid, don't disappoint me." =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1540. Sang Shui, what good stuff have you brought me this time? In a restaurant next to the square of Haotian Sky City, Grand Elder Yun of the Grand Star Hall was talking to a burly man across from him. He was also paying attention to the performance of the peerless geniuses on the Destiny platform through the window. A whoosh, the burly man called Sang Shui shot out a Xian Guang from his right palm and released a young woman in blue. This girl looked to be about 10 years old. Her hair was as white as water, and her eyes were also white. Her face was delicate, and there was a hint of charm in her exquisite appearance. A butterfly demon of the spirit race? Grand Elder Yun withdrew his attention when he saw the female cultivator. His eyes shone brightly. This female cultivator was none other than Dai. That's right. This woman is an extremely rare butterfly demon of the spirit race in the great world. It took me a lot of effort to catch it in a dangerous place. Not only is she powerful, but she also has a shocking amount of Yin energy in her body. She's also a beautiful woman. If she can be used as a dual cultivation vessel. Grand Elder Yun, you'll have to give me a good price this time. Sang Shui grinned, revealing his white teeth like an ancient beast baring its fangs. Not bad, not bad. This spiritual body is good stuff. Grand Elder Yun clicked his tongue in admiration and looked Dai up and down with greedy eyes. After bargaining with Song Shui and settling on a price, the two turned their attention to the Dao disciple competition on the Destiny stage. Dai's eyes were filled with despair. After the constellation of 9 heavens was destroyed by Tranquility Emperor's residence, she went to find Ao Tian Chonghen but was hunted down by their experts. If it wasn't for Su Fang, she would have died. After that, she searched everywhere for Ao Tian Chonghen and learned that he went to the primordial battlefield of immortals and demons. Dai Yi left the immortal domain alone to find Ao Tian Chonghen there. The immortal realms were separated by layers upon layers of natural energy, making them incomparably dangerous. Although Dai Yi's strength was extraordinary, her cultivation was still only equivalent to the world immortal realm. She had almost perished while traversing a large world. Dai Yi had finally made it to the border of the central immortal domain after much difficulty, but this mercenary named Song Shui had seen through her spirit race body. He had captured her and sold her to the Grand Star Hall as a slave. Thinking of her fate, Dai Yi shuddered and closed her eyes in despair. About half a month later, below the stage, trees of destiny several thousand feet tall rose from the ground. It was a spectacular sight. From the ground to the heavens will platform, it was 10,000 feet tall. Most of the contestants had used their dermic powers, true chi, nascent soul, and life force to grow their tree of destiny to a height of 20,000 feet. However, to reach this height, almost all of the contestants had used more than one seed of destiny. Every time they used a seed, a new tree of life would grow on top of the tree of life in front of them. It looked like layers upon layers of trees stacked together. In the history of the Heavens Will platform, the record was 3 seeds of destiny. At this point, many people had used up 5 or 6 seed. Some had even used up all 10 seed. They were still far from the Heavens Will platform, so they could only give up. There were also many people who had to stop midway because they had used up too much energy. They sat cross-legged on the tree of life and consumed pills to recover. The atmosphere in the viewing area was tense and tense. All the immortal Dao elites were focused on Dao Hengtian, the demon Saint Mingyan, and the young master of the Azure Cloud immortal sect. At this point, the 3 of them were less than 10,000 feet away from the Heavens Will platform. They sat cross-legged on the top of the tree and closed their eyes to recover. They were almost at the same level, but they had used only 2 seeds of destiny. It was hard to tell who was better, and it was hard to predict who would break the Heavens Will platform record. This concerned the honor of the immortal Dao. Everyone's hearts were in their mouths. The only person who could remain calm was probably the Ji Hong immortal Exalt. He knew very well in his heart that the biggest variable in this Dao disciple competition wasn't the devil race's holy son, Ming Yen, nor was it the Azure Cloud immortal sect's young master. The Ji Hong immortal Exalt couldn't help but curse in his heart when he glanced at Su Fang, who was hiding amongst the numerous participants below the heavenly fate arena. This little bastard is clearly capable of competing with Dao Hengtian, Ming Yen, and the Azure Cloud immortal sect's young master, yet he just chose to hide at the back. See how I'll deal with you when I come down. Su Fang released his dermic powers, true chi, and the power of life to activate the Tree of Destiny. At the same time, he comprehended the cultivation of his own world from the changes of the Tree of Destiny. Of course, his speed couldn't be fast. As he continued to comprehend and verify, Su Fang would occasionally frown and occasionally reveal an expression of sudden enlightenment. He had long since tossed everything aside. His gains were unexpectedly great. Another 10 days passed by. Suddenly, Dao Hengtian stood up from the Tree of Destiny. He took out a seed of destiny. Dao Hengtian released all the energy in his body and injected it into the seed. A mysterious aura of the eternal heavenly Dao burst out from Dao Hengtian's body. The seed of destiny sprouted and grew, turning into the Tree of Life and merging with the Tree of Destiny. Whoosh, then it grew crazily and extended upwards. In just a few seconds, it was only a few hundred feet away from the heavens will platform. Dao Hengtian is going to be number one. Many overlords in the viewing platform were excited. In the Haotsong Sky City, when they saw Dao Hengtian's shocking strength through the divine ability, a wave of cheers and exclamations swept across the entire city and spread to the 81 dojos of the Heavens Will Haotsong sect. The number one disciple of the Heavens Will Haotsong sect is indeed extraordinary. However, the heavens are about to die and the evil gods will rule the three realms. The heavens' will is on me now. Who can surpass me? The young master of the Azure Cloud Immortal sect smiled coldly. In the next moment, a deathly and evil aura burst out from the young master of the Azure Cloud Immortal sect and attracted the power of the four evil suns in the void towards him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Thick death chi and evil chi condensed into liquid and poured onto the tree of destiny. The tree of destiny that was already surrounded by death chi started to grow crazily, much faster than Dao Hengtian. Almost at the same time, Ming Yen raised his head to the sky and let out an earth-shattering roar. Even the heavens' fate stage trembled slightly. I will break the record of the heavens will platform. Ming Yan's name will be engraved on the heavens will platform and be worshipped by the immortal Dao. Ming Yen turned into his true form of the demon race and a wave of demonic malevolence rose. It wasn't demonic chi, but demonic malevolence. It was the malevolence of the heavenly demons of the greater world. It carried a surge of divinity and was absorbed by the tree of destiny. The black tree of destiny shook violently and grew at a speed twice as fast as the young master of the Azure Cloud Immortal sect. A moment later, it surpassed the young master of the Azure Cloud Immortal sect and then Dao Hengtian. Dao Hengtian's eyelids twitched. He wanted to use a peerless divine power to defeat Ming Yen, but after hesitating for a while, he gave up on the idea. Once he opened his eyes, it would be earth-shattering, and it would consume a lot of his energy. 20 breaths later, Ming Yan's tree of destiny had grown to the same height as the platform at the bottom of the heavens will platform. He looked at the grandstand arrogantly and then stepped onto the platform. Ming Yen looked down like a demon god looking down at a group of ants. He laughed maniacally and his laughter reverberated throughout the area. On the grandstand, below the heavens will platform, the entire Haotsong city and the heavens will Haotsong sect fell silent. The only sound that could be heard was Ming Yan's maniacal laughter. Ming Yan's laughter was like a loud slap to the faces of all the immortal Dao cultivators, even those who were evil and cruel. 3 breaths later, the young master of the Azure Cloud Immortal sect also stepped onto the heavens will platform. Dao Hengtian was 1 breath later than the young master of the Azure Cloud Immortal sect. In terms of time, Ming Yen and the young master of the Azure Cloud Immortal sect arrived earlier than Dao Hengtian. In terms of the number of seeds of destiny consumed, the Demon Immortal sect only used 2, 1 less than the record of the heavens will platform. Dao Hengtian, on the other hand, used 3 seeds of destiny. It was obvious who had won. The immortal Dao had lost completely. Although the young master of the Green Cloud Immortal sect had borrowed the power of Xieyang, the saint's son of the devil race was obviously not a cultivator from the devil world. The immortal venerables on the grandstand could also see that Ming Yen came from the myriad world. However, the truth was right in front of them. No one could change it. Arguing would only bring shame to themselves. It's just an elimination round. It doesn't prove anything. Immortal Cauldron's voice calmed the immortal supremacies down. They all sighed. Although they were disappointed and angry, they had to face reality and focus on the others. Especially those from the other sects and secluded cultivators. They hoped to find good seedlings among the peerless geniuses. Half a day later, Mo Wutian stepped onto the heavens will platform. Xuanxin and Zhang Ruoyun followed closely behind Mo Wutian and stepped onto the heavens will platform. Zhang Ruoyun was the disciple of the Nebula Immortal Supremacy after all. She had merged with the Xianjia Gate. Her performance was only admirable. Xuanxin was the one who caught everyone's attention. She was only in the 3 paths of Saint Immortal Realm, but she was able to surpass most of the top 10 disciples of the Heavens Will Haotsong sect. In time, Xuanxin would definitely be a stunning genius. Unfortunately, she had not cultivated for long enough to compete with Ming Yan and the young master of the Azure Cloud Immortal sect. Mo Wutian looked at Xuanxin with eyes full of undisguised adoration. However, Xuanxin kept her eyes on Su Fang, who was below the Heavens Will platform. It was as if he was the only person in her world. Mo Wutian's eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. =R download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review.